Hello, hello, and welcome, my fine fleshy friends. How are you all out there? I love to see you. And today it's debate dissection day, and I love this so much. How are you, Ember? My co-host, Ember, who is just amazing and back from the road, and we love and adore Ember. Darling, how are you?
Oh, so right. I'm doing pretty good. Had some fun board game time with the kids earlier. Did
Nice.
Mythmas over at Skeptic Haven yesterday, and
Oh, cool.
yeah, bunch of fun
Oh,
stuff.
that's awesome. Yeah, I ordered a game from Amazon that I forgot about and is currently sitting in my sort of on a shelf kind of thing. I forgot I ordered it, and yeah, so I have to bust that out at some point over the holidays. I
Absolutely.
do like board games. I do like board games. What's your favorite board game?
Hmm. I don't know. I think possibly just
It could
off the
be
top
one
of
of
my
your
head.
favorites. Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Just
let's say
something
Red
you like.
Dragon Inn.
Never heard of it.
It's
Is it
it's
one based in like Forgotten Realms or something? It sounds like maybe a
kind of it's
okay.
D&D ish. You everybody gets a character. There's a
Hmm.
wizard who's got a little imp, there's a sassy healer, there's a drunk barbarian, and you get a stack of coins, and you get various actions that you can do, and some things cost you money, some things hurt your stamina or increase your amount of drunkenness, and every so
Nice.
often you have to take a drink as part of your turn. And some drinks will increase your drunkenness by 1, some will increase your drunkenness by 4, and when your drunkenness crosses your stamina or you run out of coins, you get kicked out of the inn, and the last one standing wins.
And I presume there's brawls and stuff involved, and the usual D&D ish kind of misadventures in the inn.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
Lovely.
It's great.
Lovely. I'm a big fan of the co-op ones. So I don't know if you heard of Pandemic and Arkham Horror, where you're all working together against the game is my favorite ones, the real cooperative ones.
I
Um,
think I played
so
Arkham once.
it's very
Yeah.
complicated. It's very complicated, but it's sort of I love the games where you have to work together to overcome a challenge. I'm very sort of um cooperation rather than competition based. Which is probably why I don't get why Monopoly's so popular. Does anybody freaking know? There's like 1,000,001 Monopoly sets, and nobody I know likes Monopoly. That's the thing. Like I was at the shop the other day and I saw like doing some Christmas shopping kind of thing. I see like D&D Monopoly and oh, what was it? It was another one. It was like Game of Thrones Monopoly or something like that. And I'm sitting there going, who is buying all this crap? Like seriously, why Monopoly? I don't.
There's a version. So
No.
last week Peter found a
Yeah.
Christian sex toy store, and there's a version of
Lovely. Perfect.
Monopoly called Monogamy on there.
What? You have to collect all the sex you didn't have. I've got questions.
Hmm.
I have questions about this now. Okay, so Jer, just to answer your question really quick, we are not watching the entire thing because it is ridiculous. Um,
Hmm.
it's not just ridiculous in being um, funny and bombastic and like chaotic. It's ridiculous in the way that they've set it up and the format as well. I have never seen a debate have as badly thought out format as this one does. And I'm not that is not hyperbole or just some sort of, oh, I'm exaggerating. No, no. They start with the discussion for some reason. I don't know why. They just launch into a discussion. I'm like, oh, it's going to be like a conversation, like,
Hmm.
between Matt Delahunty and Jordan Peterson, that kind of format. Okay, cool. I'm sure. Let's hear. And then they do their openings. And I've got this on 1.5 speed. And no joke, Odle's, is it Odle? How you pronounce it? Odle's
Hmm.
opening is like an hour long on
Hmm.
1.5 speed. It's like an hour and a half of flat earth nonsense. And so what I did is I split it into three. And so there's discussion, which we can just go through. That isn't that much of a problem. But we can sort of watch as much as the first opening as we can stomach of the flat Earth stuff. And then as much as Locke's opening as we can stomach. So I'm all for cutting it short if we're bored or angry or upset or bewildered to the point of morbid confusion that I can't even think anymore. I'm all for it. So how long was the total discussion? Long.
Over 4 hours.
Long.
The whole stream was about 5 hours, but they had like a big section of worship music and stuff beforehand. It doesn't help that they constantly interrupted themselves, especially Dean. He'd get halfway through a sentence, interrupt himself, start another sentence, interrupt that one, do a Bible quote, not explain it, and then talk about something else. And I'm like, what are you doing?
It was so dumb. Like it really is hilarious just how bad these people are at debate. And the weird thing is Odle's probably slightly better. He actually had something to present, which was way too long. And I don't know who decided on this format, whether they stuck to the format. They didn't even have a moderator. They didn't have a moderator. Right? No moderator at all. So basically, they're just launching into it. And they probably thought, hey, we're Christian brothers. We don't need a moderator. We'll just sort that out. No, it doesn't matter how good buddies you are. You still need a moderator. Even if they do nothing, just to have it there is a good thing. Just to say, hey, introduce the people and sort of MC the whole thing. But it seems like Locke was the moderator. Now, from what I can gather, Locke is the one with the bigger church. So they're using his church, it's his setting. But I'll get this up on screen. So 3 sections. We don't have to watch all of it. In fact, I would recommend not watching all of it because holy crap.
You're going to need some alcohol if you want to do all of it.
Yeah, no, totally. So Locke is the one on the left, and he's a noted destroyer of Barbie houses and all-out lunatic, in my opinion. Odle's the one on the right who looks like somebody off The Shield and talks about as well. So it really is just a cascade of stupid coming out here. But I've seen the only thing I've seen Locke in is when he decided to destroy that Barbie house, like with a baseball bat kind of thing. And
he's a trip.
He's the sanest one in the room at this point, which is crazy.
It is. It really is. No, he's made headlines a number of times and done some other stuff that didn't make headlines. There's whole reels of memes about him screaming about witches. He's done book burnings on Halloween. He did a freaking dance about how he's not allowing masks in the church, but they have plenty of AR-15s. Chuck for God, I'm like, why?
Wow.
Yeah, he's a nutter and a dangerous nutter. We should be clear about that because he outright tells people, don't go see a doctor, come see me and I'll cast the demon out of you that's making you sick.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. So I don't think he has this up. I think he took it down for obvious reasons that we're going to see. But yeah, let's get into it.
The first one is I have a hard time with the people that see factual things. And I'm not talking about curves and all that. I'm not talking about looking out the window of an airplane and all of that. We can argue that the cows come home. But I watched this show, this Behind the Curve, right? And there were 3 times in that documentary where the evidence proved rotation and curvature. And in each occasion.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Yeah. Thanks, Bob. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
The flat Earth individual said, it's not going the direction that we want it to go. And then, of course, they ended the whole show with, well, that's interesting, right? And so my question is, why is it that when
that was Jeranism, wasn't it? At the end,
it was. That's a meme now too. Planar Walk, Freaky Blinder, and I think MC Toon all use that clip every now and then of Jeranism just going, interesting.
Yeah, and they sort of the flat earthers sort of come back and say, oh, that was entirely a setup and it was all faked and it was all this and all that. I don't think it really was because they kind of gave a very they were kind of very charitable to the flat earthers. They were sort of going, hey, every flat earther is a scientist that wants to know how. We shouldn't treat them and laugh at them so much, kind of thing, which I find hard to do. But sure, I get what you're saying. So it wasn't exactly done in mean spirit. It really was done as, hey, there's this thing. Let's, and obviously there's no records or methodology kept of Jeranism's experiment because they don't do that. I think he suggested it was refraction or something like that caused it. And it's like, I do see Locke's point here. Like, they do see this and then go, well, let's find a way to show that it's not true. And I think it's a good point.
When we do come up with an argument, it seems like it doesn't matter what we say. You're just not going to believe it. Does that make sense? How can you just reject
that
the
works
evidence?
both ways.
Yeah.
Because we show evidence, and then everybody, people go, well, I don't care. Here's the thing about whether it be the gyroscope, that electronic gyroscope, and I remember that.
Not electronic, ring laser. Ring laser. Very important. Ring laser gyroscope.
Now, you got to remember, you got to look at things like, just because somebody does an experiment, that experiment has to be repeated again and again and again and observed again and again before you realize it. But see, Michelson and Morley, the two scientists in the days of Einstein, did an experiment.
So what does he just changes the subject away from, hey, it's got to be repeated? Yeah, so why don't you repeat the experiments and see if you get the same thing? No, let's talk about Michelson Morley. Do you think he's going to get Michelson Morley right? Do you think he's actually going to?
Not a chance in hell. Can you turn these guys up a little bit? They're kind of quiet on my end.
I can. I should be able to. Not with that, I can't. Hold on one sec.
They're hearable, so if we can't, it's fine. They're just
no, it's fine. Yeah. It's fine.
Experiment, the famous one, where they proved that the Earth was not moving.
Is that any better?
The ether, and the ether was
about the same.
An accepted concept.
I will solve this somehow.
Back then, and really more and more physicists are coming to accept the ether. Now, what the ether is it's an
that good?
It's about the same.
Really? Okay. Are you trolling me? Maybe that's. Give me a sec.
Scene. You can see it sometimes if you zoom in on the moon, but it's actually a dense type, superfluid type gas. It gets more dense as you go up.
That's the best I can do. I'm sorry. That is really the best.
It's all right. It's all right. So Dean, he's in the middle of lying about the ether. It's not a dense superfluid soup. You can't see it when you look at the moon sometimes. The idea is that waves need a medium to propagate through, like sound needs to go through the air or water or whatever. So it was hypothesized that maybe there's this medium that electromagnetic radiation propagates through, and they called it the luminiferous aether.
Yes.
And Michelson Morley said, hey, let's test and see if we can detect this thing. Bring it out of the realm of metaphysics and into falsifiable science. And they didn't detect the thing. So the hypothesis was scrapped. And that's about all there was. But Dean has a story to tell us about.
And I've talked about it a lot, but here's what they discovered. When Michelson and Morley did their experiment, they did find 1/6 movement, okay? Because the ether is moving. The ether is what we believe the sun and the moon are moving in a circuit, as the Bible says in Psalm 19, that the sun and the moon's moving in a circuit over us, and that they're at a certain altitude, and that literally that ether current is what's pushing it around. I found government documents that actually admit this, that they believe in the ether current, they believe in the ether. So the ether is moving. So certain instruments, like when Michelson and Morley did their test to see if the Earth was moving, and the gyroscope, sometimes they're going to pick up the movement of the ether, and not necessarily doesn't mean that the Earth is spinning. Now, like one of the big arguments of the global side, the spinning ball side, is the Foucault pendulum. But what we have discovered is that in Smithsonian, I actually have the documents. The Smithsonian admits that they use an electromagnet to move it. And my friend Matt Long is here, who used to, where are you, Matt?
So, point of order on that one. The Smithsonian does use an electromagnet, but it doesn't move the thing. It just it gives it momentum, right? It's the magnet doesn't pull in any particular direction. It doesn't turn the pendulum. If you turn the magnet off, it will keep doing what it's doing. It'll just gradually friction downward to a standstill. All the magnet does is give it a little more momentum so it can keep going. You can build one yourself at home, and however much momentum it's got, it'll eventually friction down to a standstill. But while it's going, it'll still do its thing. A Foucault pendulum gradually works its way around a circle. You can have it knock down dominoes and stuff. And how fast it goes depends on your latitude. But Yeah, you can do it yourself. Put it in a vacuum chamber
Yeah.
if you want to minimize friction. Whatever. You don't need an electromagnet to make it go.
Yeah, and the whole point is that it's the torsion, it's the turning of it that we're so if it was just if there was no sort of centripetal force causing it to move by the Coriolis effect, it would just go back and forward, but it doesn't. It does this figure eight, sort of very, very narrow figure eight thing because it's being pulled by the sort of pseudo force of Coriolis on it. So it shows that we're rotating not from the thing making it go back and forth, but the deviation from that line that it's doing. And you're right. I mean, you don't have to have the only reason they put a motor on it, like you say, is to just keep it going because it will wind down. So someone doesn't have to come out and manually keep it going. But you don't need to use a motor to see this work. You can just use the pendulum. It just will wind down. That's all. So it's this is, you know, nothing new, nothing unknown. It's just sort of them misunderstanding why the motor's there. And we've done it millions of times with no motor and it's done exactly the same thing. So pointless, really.
Yeah, I mean, you can do the same thing with a much, much heavier weight because it's the inertia. The friction gradually diminishes the inertia. So a heavier one will go longer. But yeah, that's the whole thing is its inertia cancels out the turning of the Earth, the angular momentum of the Earth spinning. So it seems to turn, even though it's holding still while the planet moves under it.
Yep.
Matt Long used to work for a construction company that actually installed one of those electromagnets on the pendulum. So they try to tell us in the media, through the media and the agenda, is that the Earth's spinning is what's moving the pendulum. But they
the agenda, hey, the agenda, the media and the agenda. What agenda would that be? Is that the
yeah?
Which one?
Whose agenda? What's their motive?
Whose agenda?
What are they trying for?
Right. I don't think we should ask that question. He might answer.
You have tour guides that will admit, when the folk out pendulum, they'll admit that they have a motor on it, an electromagnet motor, that if it was left alone, it'd stand still, but they keep it moving. So what I'm saying is that there's a lot of stuff that's put out for evidence, but once you really look at it, and you could even find them admitting it.
That's not evidence. Like, there's a perfectly reasonable explanation for that, and you don't have to have the motor on it. This is what we mean. Like, you know, just because you misunderstand something doesn't mean that it's evidence for something else. Like, I don't know. This is really weird. This is just a
They are trying to hide the truth, but they're also admitting what they're doing whenever they're asked.
Why doesn't he do it himself? Like, why don't you just get a big ass pendulum and see what happens? This is the thing. Like, it's not like the focal pendulum. You need a motor to make it work. You don't. You just swing the damn thing. It'll stop swinging fairly soon. It's really weird. I don't understand it.
That it's kind of gets debunked real quick, but there's movement in the ether for sure. But let me just say this too.
Oh, there's movement in the ether, didn't you know?
Yeah, you know, Michelson Morley proved there was no motion, so the Earth's not moving. But there's motion. So the Earth is moving? No, it's the ether's moving, but the Earth's holding. Well,
yeah.
The fuck, man? You know, pick a lane.
I spent hours. I am the one that put out the government documents because I spent one day I sat down with a cup of coffee and
you put out the government documents. I bet this is like the training manuals for artillery or something that says, hey, assume it's a stationary flat plane.
He is
when
the
you
one.
do your calculations. Oh, yeah. So we know who to blame for a start for misinterpreting all the government documents. But, you know, this guy is the whistleblower of his generation. He's the Snowden of the creationists. It's amazing. Yeah.
Like 9 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't get up until 5 that afternoon, digging through the Freedom of Information Act room where there's declassified documents there. I found Russian and United States.
The Freedom of Information Act room
doesn't declassify. Yeah.
For those of you who aren't American or aren't familiar with the process, you can, when you want information that has been classified and is past its expiration date but hasn't been actually released to the public yet, you can put in a Freedom of Information Act request. And if it passes through all its checks, then eventually you'll get a copy of the document you requested. There's no room. You can't go to a room like in the Smithsonian or the National Library and look through all the Freedom of Information documents or whatever.
So there is online an electronic reading room in the CIA.gov for freedom of information stuff that's been released. But it's not exactly, it's just some stuff. Like, he really should have brought that in with him, like what he's exactly talking about, because nowhere do they say that the earth is flat anywhere in there. And why, if there's a big conspiracy to hide that the earth is flat, would they declassify it and put it online for anybody to see? Like, why? I don't understand this line of thought. Oh, and Robin gifted 1 Mark Reed membership. Thank you so much, Robin. Hold it. I'll just show your lovely name for a second. Thank you. And Damien Cosmic, congratulations. Winner, chicken dinner. There you go.
Nice.
And I am going to give away memberships as well, because I do have some of those and I don't know what to do with them. So I'm definitely going to give them away. Yeah, why not now? Let's make Robin look bad. I'm going to give away more.
Yep,
there we go.
That's a new fun feature. I'm glad they give us a few to play with every month.
We have winners. We have Keeson. We have Icarus. We have Joe Hadaway. We have Antiki Hervensalo. I'm so sorry for butchering that name. Doorknob Head. Love your work, Doorknob Head. Yeah, there we go. Congratulations. You guys get memberships for like a month, is it? Is it a month? I have no idea. I think it's a month. I think.
Yes.
I could be wrong. They're definitely temporary. So I am definitely going to be taking those back. But thank you so much for doing the membership, Robin. I'd totally forgotten about those until you did that. So thank you so much. So if you want to thank somebody, thank Robin. Okay. Yep. All right. We're moving. We're smooshing.
Military, CIA, you name it, documents that admit that we live on a non-rotating flat Earth. And I could give you.
No, they don't. They just don't. No.
He's going to pretend they do, though.
Oh, yeah.
Literally dozens and dozens and dozens of those documents. And our government admits it, but they keep it secret from us. So what I'm saying.
So did you see the first problem? Like the crowd sharing in the background. So if you have a debate or a discussion or an intellectual engagement like this, usually there isn't a bunch of yahoos in the background just jeering you on and cheering and doing this stuff. This would be the first problem we run into with a completely unregulated, unmoderated, and quite frankly, bafflingly organized debate.
What I'm saying is there's a lot of evidence. And the original science, in fact, Einstein created his famous theory of relativity because once that Michelson Morley proved by scientific, they admitted that their experiment proved that the Earth was not moving, but they could not accept that because they were hardcore Copernicans and they just didn't accept it. And so he came up with the E=mc² theory, right? But Tesla said his theory was just a bunch of hogwash and he was a fuzzy-headed idiot. And Tesla was the one that was the real inventor.
This is what happens when you have no science literacy, folks.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Tesla said a lot of things. Tesla didn't believe in the theory of relativity. Tesla thought that there were some form of what's called Tesla waves coming from the sun that traveled faster than the speed of light, and that was what gave us sort of energy. But he couldn't show anybody and he couldn't prove it. So Tesla said a lot of things. Don't get me wrong, Tesla did some amazing work and he was a genius, but there was a lot of things that he was probably wrong about. He wasn't right about everything.
Yeah. One of the things. Oh, hey.
Thank you so much, Robin. Mem for 2 months. Flat Earthers love Gwen. Oh, yeah, they do, Robin. They love Tesla. You know, probably they don't probably quote Edison as much because Edison was an atheist. So, you know.
We can't have that, can we?
Yeah, but I mean, Tesla said a whole bunch of crap Tesla claimed he had a design for a death ray that he didn't show anybody. Like, he was a bit of an odd duck. You know, he wasn't that great. don't get me wrong, he was a genius and he did some fantastic things, but not everything he said was in fact true.
Yeah,
Sorry, Emma,
yeah.
go ahead.
I believe crackpot is the modern term. Like you can still come up with
yeah.
breakthroughs, but you're the nuts are a little bit loose.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Michelson Morley did not admit the Earth was not moving. They admitted they couldn't detect the ether that supposedly light was moving through. Totally separate thing. E equals mc squared is not the same as the theory of general relativity. And I don't know specifically which Tesla quote he's talking about, but Tesla did frequently talk about how he disliked how in modern physics we were moving away from physical experimentation and more into just pure abstract math, and he freaking hated it. And that's why the flat earthers connect so much, because they're based in this idea that you should be able to test and see things with your own eyes. So they kind of relate to Tesla on that one. But the thing is, general relativity wasn't just pure math. It had a number of predictions that were testable within just a couple of years of the theory's publication.
And true scientists. So, so what I'm saying is that it works both ways, you know. But you got I would say this: people that are on our side, my side about this issue, the other side, you have to remember this about us. We believed everything you believed before, you know, because that's what we were taught, you know.
I used to be an atheist. I used to be a globe earther. I used to be, okay. Well, it doesn't give a lot of weight to your claim, but sure.
It's the pretentiousness. It's the we used to be ignorant. Now we're enlightened. We know more than you because we knew what you used to know. Something like that.
We didn't have a choice. I mean, from childhood on up, that's ingrained in your head that we're spinning and flying through an ever-expanding universe. But
I just love it when creationists are complaining about indoctrination. The irony is just, it's not lost on me. It's
so much irony in this one.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Here, extra helping of irony for everybody. The Christians are complaining about indoctrination. You'll see a theme about this.
The reason why that's not true. We can observe it. But see, remember, brainwashing stops you from being able to think and even accept what you observe. Now, they tell us we're
Yeah, you think?
Somebody hand that man a mirror.
Yeah, I know, Ryan.
Going around the Earth 66,000 miles an hour, 67. I mean, it changes all the time. And they say we're going around the sun. Then they say that we're moving 500,000 miles an hour through our solar system. And then it says that our solar system is moving through the ever-expanding galaxies at 500,000 miles an hour. Now, we do that. They say we're doing that we've been doing that for thousands of years. And yet, Polaris, the North Star, never moves.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Polaris didn't used to be the North Star. It used to be another one. Do you remember the name of the North Star when it was not Polaris? It was the one before.
Oh, I always forget what the previous one was. I know it's Polaris and Vega and the other one. Vega will be next, but I can't remember the past one. Next.
But there was another one, and I'll just look it up.
Cuban.
Yeah, Cuban. What is it? Cuban?
Alpha Draconis, if you prefer.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a 13,000-ish year cycle. It just goes around as the Earth's axis wibble wobbles.
Yeah. Yeah. So it has changed and it is moving. It's just not moving very fast. And so flat earthers have this thing that if they can't see it move, it's not moving. And this is a problem because anything on a large time scale, we just can't detect with the naked eye. Like we just can't look at it. Like continental plates, for instance, they're not stationary. They're actually in motion all the time. But we can't detect it. To us, it looks like it's stationary. We just don't have, the sort of ability to see these things over time. It's like saying, I saw this tree grow. You never really see a tree grow. It's always the same size, but it's when you come back in 10 years and it's bigger. That's when you notice it. So it's this weird thing of, if I don't see it, it hasn't happened that they have, which is weird.
When somebody does time lapse, focuses on the North Star and does time lapse photography, the circles that the stars make, the star trails are perfectly circular. And every night I can walk.
They would be,
Yeah.
wouldn't they? That kind of
Yeah.
proves that the Earth is spinning, because
Hmm.
how else do you get that? You know?
Yeah. And explain the southern circumpolar rotation, because I've never gotten a good answer to that one. And I still think that's an amazing piece of evidence for the globe Earth. It's just, it would not work. I've never found any place that would work. I mean, my last one was Kyle spinning that round in a circle. Did you see that debate? He spun it in a circle. I said, well, you'd have to be on the other side of it to see it going the other way, which means that you'd have to be out in the stars. And he said, well, they all go east to west then. It's like, really? I just disproved what you said. And then
if you take, a disc, a pizza platter, if you will, and you put a bowl over it and paint it black and put lots of little stars on it, and then you spin the bowl. Well, what happens on the southern outer rim? You don't see the stars going in circles. You see the stars going in horizontal streaks across the parallel to the horizon. That's not what we see.
Walk out of my house and point in the direction, and Orion's belt will come up in the same place every night. Now, if we're flying, spiraling, spinning through an ever-expanding universe, then the stars we see should have changed. But we can look back at the ancient Egyptians, and they were looking at the same.
No. They're so far away from us, even though we're moving, they appear not to move. That's the thing. If you're driving in your car and there's like a mountain really far away, you're moving, but the mountain doesn't move, right? There's no reason why something far away should move position. That's really weird, and you're an odd man.
They are actually moving.
Well, yeah, but
we can compare
so far away.
Where they are now versus where they were 10,000 years ago, when the ancients did their best to, pin down in stone the star formations that they saw. And we can see that the two rightmost stars are a little bit closer together, and the leftmost star has wandered off a little bit. And now we know from observations of stellar movement through parallax and redshift and so forth, that eventually those two stars are going to, from our perspective, come nearly together, and the third one is just going to go wander off, and they're still not. He says Orion rises in the same place every night. No, it moves slightly further north or slightly further south, depending on where the Earth is in its orbit. That's why here in the north, you can only see Orion roughly 8 months of the year, because the other 4 months, it's behind the sun.
Stars and navigating the same way we do today. So just by what we observe and see, we are not a spinning ball in outer space and then flying through an endless space. That's just nonsense.
But let me ask you a question, and we're going to get to a lot of that more in detail when we both do our debate discussions. One of the things I have a hard time.
He doesn't mean discussion. This is a discussion. He means their introductions. I don't know who decided on this is baffling to me, because the whole idea of the introduction is present what you want to present, and then you get into a discussion about the points that you've raised, or extrapolate on those points, or sort of cover topics. But this is weird. It's like I don't know what they're doing. I don't know.
Time with is, look, I get the government lies. One of the hard things about the flat earth idea, what I would call the flat earth theory, is there's a lot of conspiracy theories that are true that I believe in, right? There's no doubt about that. And so it's almost like an us and them. You guys are the few.
He outright calls them conspiracy theories and then says, but we believe in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, replace the word, conspiracy theory is understood to mean absurd nonsense. So just replace it in the sentence. There's a lot of absurd nonsense we believe in.
Yeah.
You don't say, Greg.
Like, for instance, the conspiracy theory that Barbie movie was part of the wokest agenda to take over the planet or something. Like, seriously, yes, you do believe in some weird ass shit. What is it, Greg? Is it Greg? Oh, Greg. Oh, Greg.
To enlighten people of reality, whereas I would say, well, of course I know the election was stolen. Of course I know that vaccines are.
Of course I know the election was stolen. Of course. I think we maybe skip past his vaccine rant. Should we do that?
That seems wise.
mean, I've read every one of those documents that you released.
No, not yet.
I see
I
them.
haven't released some of them.
Well, the ones that you have released publicly, I read all of them. Said I want to be very thorough. But here's the issue: NASA bad, NASA bad, NASA bad. But these NASA documents that I just released tell you that NASA's telling the truth. So I don't understand the discrepancy. And I'm just being honest about that.
Well, it's simple.
That's a good point. Like,
It's
and
a really
Moderators
good
do that all
point.
the time. They say, "Oh, well, this agency is lying, the government's lying," and here's some government documents saying this, and it's like, wait, if they're lying, it's really
Mhm.
weird. It's like every piece of evidence is untrustworthy except for the evidence that agrees with them, and then it's completely trustworthy even from the same source you said was untrustworthy.
Exactly.
Yeah, weird.
When these documents were top secret, meaning if you divulged the information that was in them before they were released through the Freedom of Information Act, you went to prison accused of treason. Okay.
Well, unless the government is now saying the Earth's flat, then they'd still keep them secret. I don't understand why they'd just release them. I just don't get this. But they don't say what he's trying to imply, that the Earth is stationary and flat. That's not what they say.
Yeah, and additionally, NASA is a public agency. Like the military
Right.
may keep secrets. You may go to jail if you expose military secrets.
Sure,
But
sure.
everything NASA does is right out in public.
Correct, yeah.
Like there's nothing classified there. What are you talking about?
So the government will hide things. Like, okay, the MK Ultra program. We use that example. The MK Ultra program was denied by our government for decades and decades and decades. Like Operation Paperclip after World War II, they brought all the Nazi scientists over here, gave them.
Yeah, they sure did. I mean,
Mhm.
It was either that or leave them to the Russians.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't want the Russians to have them. That's why they did it. I've been through this, and maybe it wasn't morally great, but I don't see that as a reason why they're suddenly not trustworthy at all. They're a bunch of rocket scientists. What else were they supposed to do with them?
Community, and they basically started the mind control program through it's called MK Ultra, it's called Operation Artichoke, Mockingbird, right? So all of this was done. The United States government, the Canadian government was involved. All right, all of this was kept top secret until it got leaked out in the 70s and through the church committee, and it got leaked out, and then they found the document.
Through the church committee?
The what now?
I don't think so. What? Okay. Who leaked MK Ultra?
We both immediately go to Google.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, jeebus. I'm not finding an immediate answer. There's a lot of snarled nonsense. Apparently, the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, was a member or an experimented upon person for MK Ultra. That's interesting. If it's true.
No, he's right. In the summer of 1975, Congressional Church Committee reports and the Presidential Rockefeller Commission.
The church committee as in Senator Church kind of thing.
Right.
Right. Not like the Anglicans got together and raided the CIA database.
Look, that's what it sounded like. I'm sorry. Wow. All right. That's fun.
Documents buried in the CIA headquarters, and they had destroyed. Matter of fact, the CIA director Alan Dulles had destroyed about 200,000 documents trying to cover it up, but they found some hidden in another office. So all the truth came out. So what I'm saying is the truth came out in the 70s, and finally.
So what this boils down to is, hey, the government did conspiracy, therefore all conspiracies are true, which does not follow, right? Like there's been millions of conspiracies which haven't been true. So you can't just believe every conspiracy because conspiracies have existed. You have to, like in this case, get the evidence that the conspiracy actually did happen. And I get that the government does really sucky shit. All governments do really sucky stuff. Like, I get it. But that's no reason to think every one of those is true.
I wonder how much of this comes out of his evangelical upbringing. Because, for me, growing up in the United States, our government has always done absolute immoral, horrible things.
Right.
Like all the way from, the French and Indian Wars, Trail of Tears and Remember the Maine, and it's nonstop. There's constantly people in power killing people without power for personal gain and profit and yada yada. So yeah, we've never trusted our own government, even a little bit. But within the evangelical community, within the fundamentalist community, there's this overarching message of authority, authority. You have to trust the authority. And so they're brought up, trust the police. The police are your friends. Politicians don't lie. The president is chosen by God and all this crap. So when he starts to discover that's not true, it's disillusioning for him. At least it's speculation, but maybe.
Yeah. Oh, much love, Kata.
Yay, Kata.
Enjoy. Hey, yeah, thanks for dropping by. Appreciate it.
President Bill Clinton actually apologized because experiments were done on human beings, mind control using drugs and physical abuse and sexual abuse, and sometimes against people's will without their knowledge. And some people died in those experiments that the CIA was doing. Now, you could look back and go back then and say, oh, that's a conspiracy, and the government, the government covered it up. But when those documents come out that were kept secret, and we know, okay, they were discussing this between them, and they have to do that. It's the same way with NASA, and it's the same way with our other government agencies and military.
How do you know it's the same way with NASA? You just assume, like he's just basically going, yeah, it's the same way with NASA. Really? How do you know? Nothing's come out that NASA has tried to cover up, right? What has NASA tried to cover up?
I'm thinking of all those videos where they'll pass the ISS will pass over one of those little mini sats, the weather satellite things, and somebody will be like, "Oh, it's an alien spaceship! Look at that!" Or passing over. There was one. Oh, what was her name? I can't remember. One of the batshit crazy people elsewhere on YouTube. The ISS was on the night side of Earth and happened to pass over a city, and because it was dark, and then you just saw the lit up grid, the person was like, oh my God, it's an entire alien colony ship out in space. You can tell it's space because it's dark. And it turned out it was actually Houston. Like, the map matched exactly. It was Houston, Texas.
Wow.
They don't tell us everything, what they actually do. And then the Freedom of Information Act, I'll tell you this, I believe the Freedom of Information Act is Jesus made it, because Jesus said everything done in secret and spoken in secret.
The Freedom of Information Act is Jesus.
Jesus wrote the Constitution.
Yeah, let's throw away our crucifixes. We're just going to have an FOI document on them. Like, seriously, what are you talking about? The Freedom of Information Act is Jesus.
I think it's going to be shouted from the rooftops. And I actually believe it's a rule that God has made them start revealing things to us. And so that's easy to determine. I look at a document that's top secret. It was kept top secret from us for years and years and years and decades. And finally now it's released. Oh, I can go, I see why they were hiding it.
Gotcha. All right.
Why'd they release it, though?
Right.
It was the divine power of Jesus compelled them to release it, because Luke 12:2, all that is hidden shall be revealed, which incidentally is my newest shirt over on my merch store.
Really? Wow.
Someday I'll be able to afford my own merch.
Nice.
Anxious to get you hooked up and let you start doing your actual presentation, and make sure the guys have the cord and the computer and all of that ready. Okay, the age-old question is, why don't you guys still have an actual map? Why do you have a model but not a scaled map?
Nobody does. You know that all of our maps are.
No, nobody does. Nobody's got a map. Nobody knows where they're going at all. Everyone's lost. We don't navigate across the seas or anything. We just luckily happen to find our way every single time.
Yep.
What are you
suggest
talking
otherwise
about?
is a conspiracy.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's just pure blind luck that ships manage to, make port all the time. It's just pure blind luck. What are you talking
It's a miracle.
about?
Every time I follow I-80 from New York City to San Francisco, never mind that I stay on the same damn road. It's pure fucking luck. I wind up in San Francisco. Praise Jesus.
Obviously. Praise freedom of information.
Yes.
Every single one.
Well, we have a scale, and you can tell me that this is 200 miles apart from certain towns, and I can look at the scale on a regular map, and I can drive it. It's exactly 200 miles
The
apart.
map works really well. And again, you have to know how to use maps. Maps have different scales and different things.
I'm sorry. Is there anybody out there that doesn't know how to use a map? Like, you're sort of talking about, people that do surveying and cartographers and going, oh, you got to know how to use a map. Dude, they're all based upon a globe, even the flat ones. Like, just because we've spread it out, it's still based on a globe.
I know it's mind-blowing, because that's his main bitch, is every map is wrong in a very specific way. Like, you've got the one projection where Greenland is the size of Africa, and you've got another projection where it's got the W shape and there's gaps in the ocean, and et cetera, et cetera. The reason that happens is because we're trying to put a 3-dimensional sphere onto a 2-dimensional piece of paper. Something's going to get distorted. The fact that always happens kind of proves that it isn't actually, if the world really were flat, we wouldn't have to have any distortion at all.
Right.
That you look at, but bottom line is that all maps are wrong. The projection map, one of the Mercator maps show Iceland like bigger than Africa, and that's not true. So
just said it. Yeah.
I mean, Iceland, Greenland,
Yeah. He probably means Greenland. Yeah.
Nobody has a true, accurate.
Well, the way you remember that is Iceland is green and Greenland is icy.
Or at least it used to be. Global warming's
that's true.
Changing things up there.
Yeah. That's 100% true.
But yeah, it's hilarious how he is literally confusing the map for the place.
Yep.
To the perfect map. That's just a fact. Not your side, not my side. We're still working on it.
But we can travel based on
your maps aren't 100% accurate in every possible way. Our maps don't work at all. These are even things.
Yeah. Our maps of, we can't actually explain why people can circumnavigate Antarctica in, a month or something, like by sailboat. But they're about the same, right? Like, what the hell?
Yep, nobody has a perfect map.
Based off our map and get exactly where we want to get, but you can't do that on the model of the flat Earth.
That's not true.
And even Africa is like 3,000 miles wider than it's supposed to be, because it's looking down on a spherical Earth and it's just been flattened out.
It's absolutely not true.
That is 100% true.
No, it's not.
Yeah, no, you can't use a flat Earth map to navigate. It just doesn't freaking work. Like, what are you talking about? Like the distance from like Sydney to Santiago in Chile, in South America. It's like twice as far as it should be. It's ridiculous. No.
No, it's not. In fact, navigation, and I have this in my book, navigation is called the Great Circle navigation, not the Great Sphere navigation. All right, so everything.
No, it's great circles. So great circles are sort of just the widest part of the Earth from any angle kind of thing. It's just, there's nothing special about it.
But every pilot will tell you that's an actual commercial airline pilot.
Where's my Army pilot?
Yeah.
Stand up.
I got an Army pilot. I got a pilot here. Stand up. Take a bow.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's trying to say pilots that travel a great distance kind of thing, because people that do short range flying maybe aren't the best to us. It's why he's saying commercial. It's because commercial pilots fly very long distance. Where's my Army pilot?
Army pilot, where are you?
Okay, so
what I'm saying is not every pilot will tell you that. I have a friend, good dear friend.
Commercial airline pilot will tell you that.
A commercial pilot will tell you.
Yes.
I have multiple. In fact,
because I don't want to get on a plane of a guy that doesn't know about the rotation of the Earth, because I'll end up in the wrong place. That's the entire idea.
Okay, it's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. All right, if you believe the Earth is spinning, and if you believe in the Coriolis effect, that you have to.
I definitely believe in the Coriolis effect.
It's not even in the SEAL manual. I have a SEAL friend, so
it's not in the SEAL manual. The Coriolis effect is not. Are they teaching physics to Navy SEALs these days? I'm not 100% sure.
A surprising amount.
Okay.
However, there is nothing the SEALs have to do that requires You know,
Not to
there's
my
a few
knowledge.
extreme things the seals do, like, you know, the high altitude, low opening jumps over the ocean,
Right,
and
yeah.
then they have to know about
Okay.
currents in order to, you know, swim in to get to their target. They have to know about, you know, wind shear and how it'll affect their rifle rounds and all sorts of interesting science, but not a damn thing has to, like, even Army
Really?
snipers
Yeah.
don't shoot far enough that the rotation of the Earth matters.
What I'm going to tell you right now is that if that was happening, you could not land a plane on a north-south runway, because if the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour and an airplane is flying at 500 miles an hour, and you have to count in velocity and you have to figure all that in, they could not land on a north-south runway. It's impossible.
Hey, did you know the Earth's rotating too fast for planes to land on a north-south runway? Did you know that? Did you know that?
Yeah, there's 1,000-mile-an-hour wind at the equator. Who knew? Because the air, the atmosphere, which is part of the Earth, apparently isn't moving with the rest of the Earth. That's probably, you know, if that doesn't apply to fluids, then, you know, the oceans must be sloshing over the edges of the continents, because they couldn't be rotating with the ground either.
Right. And the whole idea of like, why is the Earth spinning fast but the plane is still, it's because we have inertial frames of reference. It means that the Earth is spinning at that rotation, but the plane's spinning with it. It's basically has the same speed sideways, I guess, if you're going north to south landing, as the Earth does.
Conservation of angular momentum.
Correct, yes. So that the plane is actually, it's always been moving with the Earth. Like, you actually have to counter it by going against the Earth. And this misunderstanding happens a lot. A great deal.
Gyroscopes in planes tell the pilot that they're flying flat and level, and many pilots have come out. An F-16 pilot's come out and a whistleblower and said it's flat. He knows it. Here's another thing: you see an F-16. I've been down in.
Do you notice the Gish Gallop? He's just sort of tossing stuff out, going to the next thing, tossing it out, going to the next thing. It's like it really is Gish galloping or scattershotting kind of thing, and we'll see this with his introduction. And you know, we won't stay in it too long, but you'll get the gist of what he's trying to do. It's to throw out so many things. It's kind of the Witsit waddle. You throw out lots and lots and lots of things, so people can't check everything.
Pensacola, when you
And like, I would go through and debunk everything he said, but I couldn't be bothered. So sorry. We'll watch a bit of his opening, but not like the entire thing. Like I said, an hour long at 1.5 speed is too damn long, dude. Seriously, too damn long. Especially,
and there's so many.
Like,
it's full of irrelevancies too. Like he's got a long section with testimonials by former atheists who were brought to Jesus by knowledge of the flat Earth. Like,
yes,
that's your evidence. Okay,
yeah, that's terrible evidence. That's terrible.
See the Blue Angels do their thing. They will fly 50 feet off of the water, breaking the sound barrier. Okay. Now that means that they are moving over 700 miles an hour, right? They break the sound barrier. Sometimes they're flying at Mach 2 in a straight line. Now, if they're flying that fast and the Earth's curving, and most people don't on your side do not know how much the Earth curves. They don't even know the formula, but it's 8 inches per mile square.
No, it's not. No, it's not. That's a rough sort of, that only works very accurately under 100 miles or so. At 1,000 miles, it's completely inaccurate. It is really not a good formula for the curvature of the Earth. It's just not. I'm sorry. Like at short distances, it's good for rough calculations, sure, but not at long distances. So yeah,
it's close enough for government work.
Right, exactly. If you're doing local works and things like that, it's fine. But yeah, if you look at like across a country or something, that will not work. It just won't.
Now, if you do that going that fast, you're going to have to be nosing the plane down. In fact, if you're going 500 miles an hour, you're going to be nosing the plane down like 2,000 feet. Which is...
You don't have to nose the plane down. You just follow your gyroscope and keep it level, which is horizontal to the center of gravity, basically. This isn't the argument he thinks it is. It's not the coup that he thinks he's getting.
over half a mile every few minutes, right? If you're flying at Mach 2, it's incredible. They would have to be nosing the plane down continually. And pilots will tell you that they never nose their plane down to follow the curvature of the earth. That is a fact.
They don't have to have their
I
nose
mean,
down to follow the curvature.
that at least is a fact.
Yeah. But they don't have to.
Yeah. Conversely, you never hear pilots talk about how when they're flying, straight east-west, how they have to, bank the plane to the right every so often to keep following the lines of latitude.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah.
Fly at altitude, and altitude takes care of the curvature of the earth. That's the entire point of a pilot. That's how he keeps the plane in the air. To say that you got to nose down and go around the earth would be ridiculous.
Yeah, so a normal debate, you basically have the moderator, or they saying, "Hey, could the audience save their applause or their clapping till the afterwards," kind of thing. And this is sort of, and while it's not entirely unusual, it's kind of pretty sloppy. This is more like a discussion than a debate. It's not a debate. Certainly not a debate in sort of the academic sense. Hey, Doc, good to see you.
Dynamics will tell you right now, you cannot fly a plane at Mach 2. You cannot fly a plane in any curve. I don't care if it's this way, or this way. They do not fly. They will come apart. That's why the SR-71, there was one time it just came to pieces. It had to fly straight and level, or it would just burn up and tear apart. So, no, I'm sorry. They don't nose a plane down.
So you've never seen a plane curve. You've never seen a plane do flips, go up, go down, barrel roll.
You know what you're talking about is you're going somewhere else with it. That's different.
Now, they are talking past each other here, and I'm disgusted by the fact that I'm agreeing with Greg fucking Locke so much here, but this is hilarious.
Yeah. It's a bewildering feeling saying Greg Locke is right. I immediately feel like I've done something wrong or made some mistake somewhere when I say that.
Mm-hmm. Well,
flying at Mach,
stop clock twice a day.
If I was a betting man.
Mach 1, Mach 2, Mach 3. They're not nosing the plane down.
I don't travel to go preach at Mach 1, Mach 2. I'm talking about real people understanding the science behind this, not just speculations of being able to say, well, a lot of pilots have come out. Well, I would like to see one of them. Because
here,
bring my army pilot.
they're not here. He just said he wasn't a military pilot. Hell, listen, these are the people.
That guy right there. The white shirt guy.
Commercial airline pilot.
Army pilot.
Commercial airline pilot. Because the people that want to talk are helicopter pilots are the only flat earthers I've ever met. I've only met 3 of them, which is fine. And then people that fly small planes for small distances. Because if you're going to get in an airplane, and I know you guys hate the southern hemisphere and all that kind of stuff, I'm telling you, there is no possible way to make it from point A to point B without curvature and rotation of the earth. It's an impossibility. Now, I know your side does not believe in that, but to say that you guys have...
He's not wrong. That's the thing. Like, he's not wrong. Like, you even look at airline flights, and on the flat map, they're curved and will curve in weird ways, and it makes perfect sense once you understand that the flights are straight. They're straight. They just look curves when you flatten them out. That's all. It's not rocket science.
I mean,
I don't understand.
Rocket science does the same thing.
Well, it is.
That's why every launch
it is rocket science.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're basically using and that's the rotation of the Earth being used to help us get into orbit. Because if we go off in the same way the Earth is rotating, it helps us. Because we already have the velocity behind us. The last thing you want to do is go against the Earth's rotation when launching a rocket, because it'll be twice as hard to get into orbit, and your rocket will come down. So there's a reason why.
Huge fuel savings using the rotation of the Earth. It's roughly 13%, depending on various factors, but around 13%. And that's a big deal, because the more fuel you have, the more weight you have, so the more fuel you need to move the fuel you just added, which means you need even more fuel. It gets exponential. So cutting 13% off the top is a dramatic reduction in weight.
Yeah. And there's a reason why Cape Canaveral is where it is on Florida, so it can do launches out over the Atlantic Ocean and turn them east. Right, so turning with the rotation of the Earth, and so that's why it's there, because you've got a nice body of water if your rocket doesn't manage to, or if you have segments you've got to deploy kind of thing. If you have stages that you've got to deploy, you can also do that. Okay.
Have professional surveyors that survey. I'm not talking about little bitty areas or pilots.
Okay, let me bring this up. You said you bring up surveyors. U.S. Geological Survey.
Yep.
No, it's geodesic surveyors, not geological surveyors. They do something different.
Is very clear that they don't even count curvature over 100 square miles. Well, you know what? That's about foolish, because either they don't know. They count it as flat over 100 square miles. They count the Earth as flat. Do you know how much curvature?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, you have to get to a rather large number.
Curvature is at 100 miles supposed to be there?
Well, we have a surveyor in the room
Oh,
tonight.
no. I'm asking you. Do you know how much curvature of the Earth is supposed to be there in 100 miles?
Well, if you use the parabolic approximation, which is the cetic astronomy, which is nonsense, because that's a curve is an arch. It would look like the world would look like the St. Louis arch.
No, that is not it. Every scientist, I have a PhD in physics here with me. That's highly.
Do we think he's got a PhD in physics? I have suspicions not.
I'm pressing X to doubt. I mean, it's not impossible. You know, Ken Ham's got
That's
a
true.
PhD geneticist.
Yeah, that's true.
Sought after across the world by Google and NIH and everything else. She will tell you that if you're going to have a ball, it's 24,901 miles in circumference, and it's a perfect sphere, right? You have a sphere, and that's what NASA shows us is a perfect sphere. The Neil deGrasse Tyson.
No, it isn't. It's an oblate spheroid. It's slightly fatter in the middle than it is in the tips.
Like me.
It's not a perfect sphere. Oh.
It says it's a pear-shaped thing, right? But here we go. Here we go. If you have a sphere,
It's not a perfect sphere, but I get it. Go ahead.
Well, that's the pictures they give us, so somebody's wrong. But here's the thing: if it's curving, if it's a sphere,
he's right.
miles,
Somebody's wrong.
Somebody's wrong. Yeah. Hate to break it to you, buddy. Why?
It is 8 inches per mile squared at the equator, and actually, if you go up the ball, going east and west.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Yeah, that's a good approximation for short distances, sure. But again, I agree with Greg Locke. He's right. That's a parabolic arch. It doesn't get you to a sphere. Once you go half the distance of the sphere, it is so far out. Like, it is so far out. Damn, man.
West, it actually increases to 9 1/4, 9 1/2. Actually, the curve gets worse. So no, these are things we can calculate, and they're not arguing. I have engineers and PhDs in physics who will explain to you the math if you need to explain to you. But I don't know where you're coming from with that crazy stuff. The Earth, if it is the ball,
it comes right out of the Zetetic Astronomy book from Samuel Robotham.
No, it doesn't. I've never even read his book.
Yeah, that's where that 80 mile comes from. He's actually right. It comes from Robotham, who was the guy that did the
fucking parallax himself.
Yeah. But he did the Bedford level experiments that were like debunked once they factored in or factored out, I guess, refraction. They did it again on a day with no refraction, and it worked out perfectly. So, whoops, Robotham was full of crap, quite frankly.
Okay. No, this math is very clear. It's as clear as it gets. Where's my PhD in physics? Please stand. What's
the square?
I'm gonna just ask you to raise your hand.
Is an approximation.
Does the Earth, if it's a sphere curving at 24,901 miles circumference, is that an average of 8 inches per mile squared? Yes.
Right.
Yeah, average. Important word here is average. Like, it can still be wildly out. They're using an average for a measurement. No, stop. That's not what it's used for. Ugh.
I mean, creationists, what can you do?
Why are you like this?
But the square is an approximation, yes or no?
No,
absolutely.
It's actually 7.9 inches. It's accurate. It's very accurate. So, like I said, that's a PhD in physics.
Wait, is it 7.9 or is it 8? Because that's a significant difference.
It's especially over a whole fucking planet.
Yeah. Over a few thousand, that's a significant difference there. Like he doesn't have any idea.
Physics. Now, if you want
like you have to use cosine to get to the curvature of the Earth, because it is a circle. Like it's a circle, not a parabola. That's the thing. Like that measurement of 8.5 inches that will never get you to a circle, right? It will only get you to a parabola. It will never meet at the other end. You can't use that. It's not accurate.
She does experiments at Tuskegee University in Alabama, and like I said, she knows what she's talking about. So that's why I brought these people, because we're not going to go down these crazy roads. I mean, math is math.
Oh, really? Ember, we're not going to go down these crazy roads.
No craziness here. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta throw out my irony thing again.
For real.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm a flat earther, and I'm not going to get into this crazy stuff about a globe and, rotation of the earth and space.
The fuck does she do? I looked up his PhD, his pet PhD.
Did he give the name?
He did not, but I searched for a PhD in physics who hangs out with Dean Odle, and when he said she does research at Tuskegee University, that narrowed it down to one. That confirmed who it was.
Okay.
Shitra R. Nayak. She actually does have a PhD in physics, although I haven't tracked down where that's from yet. She's an assistant professor at Tuskegee University as of 2014, and her research includes nonlinear analysis of biosignals in fluid. But she's also a board member at Intercom, Salesforce, Forward Air, Invitae, Infosys, author of Be Your Genuine Self. She's a sales critter who occasionally does some science on the side.
What?
Yeah.
How do you spell the surname?
Nayak. She has over 25 years of experience in go-to-market, general management, and operations leadership roles at various organizations. Like, she's a Wall Street bro who occasionally does science on the side.
Wow. From Cochin University in India.
Like, her LinkedIn page doesn't even mention her physics credentials or her assistant professorship at Tuskegee.
This is her bacterial biophysics, immunology, nonlinear dynamics, fluid dynamics, spatiotemporal patterns. Cochin University. Interesting.
On the plus side, I don't think she's totally in Dean's pocket. Her LinkedIn posts, she's got a post lamenting book bans. How sad is this? Book bans are growing en masse in the U.S. I've always read voraciously, etc., etc. Another post, we've been hearing about the impact of climate change. It's hard to put it into context, but we have to take action. Like, these are all things that Dean publicly denies are problems, you know? Very peculiar.
I've got an email address at Tuskegee University. I don't know where that is.
Alabama.
Of course. Why did I even ask? It's from Leonard, Alabama, where we are. Come down to Dinosaur Adventureland. Sorry, there's only one thing I know of in Alabama, and it colors my entire judgment. Sorry, Alabama people. I just, yeah. There's only one thing I know in Alabama.
Honestly, despite the fact that visiting may result in your child being unalived, or possibly spending the night with a PDF file, it's still one of the nicest places in Alabama to visit. That's Mobile is beautiful. The lights are gorgeous. The ocean's right there. It's freaking stunning. But Selma, Alabama, is pretty much exactly the same as it was when Martin Luther King went through there. Hey, hey.
And Robin Webster for $2. Thank you so much, Robin. Greg is losing church members to flat Earth. Yeah, no, I got the gist of that. I got the gist of that. You're absolutely right. No, Tuskegee. Oh, okay. Lennox, Alabama was it Eric Hovind?
Yeah, Tuskegee.
I'm sorry. I may be doing some fun stuff for a Christmas special. Maybe I've gotten on a sudden whim of madness. I got together a costume that may not resemble a certain preacher that I really hate. So I'm practicing the accent. I may just do a special for a parody of a certain Alabamian. What's the person from Alabama? Alabamanian?
I just say Luddite.
Right. Luddite.
I'm so mean to people from Alabama. I think John Gleason was originally from there. I don't know.
Thank you so much, Robin. And yeah, you're right. He is. And this entire debate is the epitome of what happens when you have a bunch of people who have no critical thinking skills whatsoever. Both sides, they're terrible. Like, I'm not leveraging into that one or the other. Both sides are terrible. So this is what happens.
Yeah, we've been warning the faithful about this for years. When you disable your critical thinking,
correct,
you can fall victim to all kinds of crazy shit.
Yep.
And the math is not in your favor. And so, I mean, yeah, anybody could bring testimonies, anybody can bring doctors, PhDs, that's fine. But the squared is an approximation. It's a parabolic approximation for an arch. That's 100% the facts. That's 100% true.
Nope, it isn't. Then how does it curve back on itself after 108? How is it going to curve? It can't. Ugh. I hate that Greg Locke's right. It irks me.
I don't even know how the fuck it happened either, because he'll go through various sciences that are equally as demonstrable as the fact that the Earth is a globe and say how he doesn't believe in them. I'm like, why do you believe reality in this one specific area and then deny it in all these others with sometimes with the same evidence? Like, what is happening in your head, man?
It is.
It's not, if you draw a circle, you can figure out how much it's curving. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, parabolic approximation, it is an approximation, but the question still has to be answered, regardless of how off our maps are, which we can navigate very well with them. Why is there no real map for the model of the flat Earth?
Why is there no curvature when we go out with high zoom cameras?
That's not what I asked.
Yeah, so he asked a direct question. He just wants to deflect. And this is the flat earthers thing. Like, you ask me a question, I'll ask you a question. Like, it's just deflection.
And there's a lot of you'll see it with the young earthers too. Anybody who knows they have a very weak position, they don't even try to hide their deflection. Like Greg Kokel, he is a little subtle with his deflection. He'll answer the question next to the question you asked is his deflection. But these guys, they don't even try to hide it. They just bat right back with another question, blatantly deflecting.
Yeah.
No, I can ask whatever I want to ask. Look, I don't agree with you about that.
I know. I just want an answer to the question. Is there an actual map that can be produced like we have a map? We don't have a model. We have a map and an entire model that can be made predictions off of.
I've already answered the question.
There are no predictions that can be made from a flat Earth model.
All the maps are wrong. All the maps are wrong.
All the maps are wrong. They're all wrong. They're all just the same. They're just, if they're not tiny exact to the centimeter, they're just wrong. They're just useless.
Completely useless. There's no point. In fact, why are we studying? We haven't cured every possible disease imaginable. Why are we studying medicine? It's useless.
I don't know.
Why are we investigating in circuitry and processors and we haven't built a 1 nanometer processor yet. Why bother? It's useless.
Throw it all out. Yeah. Throw it all out.
All the maps are wrong.
All the maps are wrong, and they know it.
So then why isn't your map wrong when you say Antarctica encircles the entire disk and the North Pole is right in the middle? Why isn't your map wrong, but our map is wrong, but the model proves that all the predictions for our map are 1,000% correct?
They're not. The earliest, listen, you got to understand that there are people, that's why they.
I do understand. That's why I'm asking you the question.
You interrupted me. I tell you what, I'm not going to do this interruption thing, all right?
I'm not going to do this interruption thing. This interruption thing is beyond me. Look, he's talked for most of it, to be honest with you. It's kind of, yeah. But I mean, Locke isn't asking the right questions. He really is not. He should be saying some of the predictions that we rely on for our maps, like, you know, he could tie it in with planes getting to where they have to go. He can tie it into ships that use the global system to find their way to port. He can tie it into all kinds of things. He can tie it into drones using a map, and they're not even manned. You know, there's just so many things you can tie it into. He should be doing some more specifics, but as we find out, Locke isn't exactly up with the science. He really is not.
He's not a clear thinker. He's a shotgun attack artist. Like, here's a point, here's a point, here's a point, here's a point. Deal with it, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not. So we can just go to presentations. We're going to do this. I'm not doing it.
I just want you to answer the question.
No, I'm not doing it.
Why not?
I'm not going to do this because I start giving an answer. You interrupt me.
No, answer the question.
I'm not doing it.
I'll give you 30 seconds of silence. Why do you not have a map or a model that can make predictions?
Why? We do. And I'm going to.
We do.
Oh, no,
we do.
now
What
we do.
Predictions what predictions has the flat Earth map made? Like, what predictions has the flat Earth model made? Every time I ask a flat Earther, like, how far away is the sun? How high up is the dome? Where is this? Where is that? They just say, well, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a map.
Still waiting on and what the hell a lunar eclipse is. Flatsoid. In case you're watching.
Yeah. I mean, they say, oh, well, it's not the shadow of it's not the shadow of the moon on the Earth, right? Is that what they say?
Lunar eclipse.
No, it's not the shadow of the Earth on the moon, right?
Right.
So that's what they say. It's not the shadow. So what is it? And it's just sort of, well, we don't know. We don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It might be plasma. It might be this. It might be that. Then you don't have a map of our local planetary or planetary body, basically. Then you don't have one. And every time you start talking about why the round pizza kind of map doesn't fit with what we see, it's like, well, we don't know what it's like, and we don't know what's here, and we don't know what's there, and we don't know. We don't know.
If only there were
And
some way we could find these things out. Some kind of, I don't know, test.
Yeah.
What craziness.
Like we've been doing for the last 2,000 years or so. Yeah.
I think it's been very accurate. The astrolabe is another instrument that's proved this. It's based on a flat, non-rotating Earth. The astrolabe, that's how they navigate.
False.
Yeah, that is not true. An astrolabe has kind of semicircular, I believe.
There's a few different versions. The simplest version is it's basically like a sundial with extra bits. It's got little sighting points in the edge of it that you use it sort of like a sextant. You measure certain stars, the inclination above the horizon. It literally requires a globe. It requires a globe in order to function, because otherwise you can't get latitude at all.
Oh, I might be thinking of the armillary sphere, actually. That's what I might be thinking of. Wow. Yeah. And who had that challenge out to navigate using without using, I think it was MC Toon had it out. He's got a challenge to any flat earther to navigate across oceans or navigate without using a globe fundamental map, basically one that's based upon the globe. Yeah, it is MC Toon, because you can't do it without sort of calling the Earth circular. It's impossible. So he says use a sextant and stuff, but don't use any globe Earth calculations. And it's impossible. You can't do it. Nobody's ever been able to do it. And he's still got that challenge up. Because they don't understand. Yep. They don't understand how the navigation back in those times worked. They don't understand how sextants work. They obviously don't understand how astrolabes work. Yeah. They don't understand how any of it works. They just say, hey, it's based upon flat. No, really isn't. Really isn't.
We got to this nonsense, okay, about their spinning ball thing. It's always been based on, even the compass itself is based on a flat circular, or not. It doesn't work.
No. It's based upon a magnet with two poles, one on the north and one in the south. It is the positive pole that's attracted to the negative one. So it's actually the south needle that's doing the actual tuning of it. But like,
Yeah,
it's based upon
if flat Earth were correct and the Earth were somehow a giant monopole, a compass wouldn't work, because you
Right.
need two poles for magnetism to function.
Yes, you need a positive and a negative, pole for them to work. So, wow.
If you're down here, it's not pointing through the ball. So what I'm saying is that bottom line, that is not even.
No. It's not pointing through the ball, because you're following the electromagnetical field. Like the magnetic field doesn't go through the magnet. That's not how it frigging works. Is it Dean? Dean!
Damn it, Dean.
It's around. It's a field around. Where's Dr. Tapioca Weasel? How do magnets work? You don't know. Magnets, how do they work?
That is not even the argument. The argument is not there. We know there's discrepancies in the maps, and the early explorers who went into the Arctic region, who used the instruments that they had based on a sphere, they would always find themselves out of reckoning. They said sometimes extreme out of reckoning when they went there. I document all this, Captain Ross and all these others. I document captain after captain after captain who, before they had to lie and before there was NASA,
before they had to lie.
Before there was okay.
Wow.
When you go into the southern part, the southern hemisphere, that's what you want to call it. When you go there, that they are out of reckoning, trying to base their navigation on a sphere. That's documented history.
That's true. No, they were out of reckoning, because when you go below the equator, you lose sight of the northern hemisphere constellations that you're using to navigate. You're literally out of reckoning because of the globe.
Yeah.
You can't reckon. You're like, what the fuck is this cross-looking thing? That's not Orion.
Well, I mean, you can make a dead man say anything, so it's easy to talk about what used to happen back then. We have more technology now than the world's ever imagined, and it's growing every day. So why can't you do those same things now? Why do you always have to talk about these people that used to try to do this? Did you know right now there's between 1,000 and 5,000 people on the continent of Antarctica? And people are like, well, NASA's there, and there's these, gunny penguins that are keeping people from getting it. It's this fantastical nonsense where people have flown over it, taken pictures. People have all of these people have circumnavigated Antarctica. You can buy a cruise ticket.
Yeah, crowd's getting feisty.
Going wild on him because they believe in the flat earth. You have brought this about. Reap what you sow. You've prevented your audience from being critical thinkers and thinking skeptically about things, and then you're amazed when they buy any old bullshit that happens along. Why are you surprised? I don't. Oh, no.
You can buy a cruise ticket and go to Antarctica. Here's what's interesting. In 2019, the Flat Earth folks were going to take a cruise to Antarctica to prove their thoughts. Nothing ever came of it.
Here, let me explain that to you.
You can fly there today.
No, you can fly there and see the coastline. That's about all you can do. A little bit of coastline.
No, you don't. You can land there. That's not, see the coastline is not a thing.
Oh, yes. And if you want to go there and stay, you have to have permission from the government. Have you ever seen the amount of stuff you have to fill out to go through that?
Yes.
And also, they're not going to let you go in an expedition inland just as a
yes,
near you. They're not going to let that happen. And here's another thing. If this would be easy to prove, but they hide this from us too. All we'd have to prove is go to Antarctica. Let me and you go to Antarctica, spend a week there in the summer, and let's see if the sun does a 360-degree circle all the way around us. If so, it's a ball. But if the sun comes in this way and then leaves that way, then it's not. It is what we see. And they have webcam videos, right? In Antarctica, and there'll be a flagpole in there. And so if the sun's coming in this way, you should have a shadow here, and then it comes in and it should be here, and then it comes over here, and then it should just be back here. What they do is they never let you see 24 hours a day. They never let you. They cut the tape, they edit it, and Jaron of Jaronism actually has emails from them asking, why are you cutting the video? And they give him these stupid explanations like, oh, well, it's too cold. We can't run it for 24 hours. We can run it for 16 to 18 hours. We can't run it.
That is not true. And I looked this up. Like,
Yep.
So there's an Australian Antarctic exhibition, Australian Antarctic division that I had a look, and they keep webcams, like just webcams doing time lapse. Where is Casey Station? Maybe. Yeah. Okay. So this is Casey Station. Did I just pop that out? I just popped that out. Okay, so this is Casey Station. Okay, so it's Sunday, 17th of December at 11:06 a.m. Southern Hemisphere, of course. So, yep. So it just does time lapse, and you can watch this. It does a last few days kind of thing on a roll. And happy birthday, Maddie Z, by the way. Just a big shout out to Maddie Z, whose birthday it is. So that was Friday. We're coming up on 12 hours now. When did it start? I don't remember when it starts. Whoops. It's not getting dark for some reason.
Oh, curious.
Oh, happy birthday, Mum. I don't know who Mum that is, but happy birthday. I don't know why. I just love that they've got a birthday message sat in front of it.
Yeah,
okay, so the reason why the sun is black is the camera automatically blacks out anything of too much light. So that's been like a couple of days of just sunlight. So no, they don't cut the footage. It's just a time lapse, dude. Like seriously, I don't know what is wrong with this man. You can see this on any of the Antarctic stations that keep just a time lapse webcam. And they just keep it for the last few days. It's not like they have to, CGI it or anything. They just keep a webcam there. Just see if it ever turns from night to day kind of thing. Just see. I don't get it. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I've got a clip somewhere if I can find the damn thing. It's hiding on me.
Okay. Do you want to give you a bit more time?
No, we can go on. I'll keep hunting for it. I thought I had it as a short, but I guess that was I put out one short that only got like 31 views in 48 hours. So I'm like, yeah, we gotta get rid of that because it.
Oh, okay.
If something performs too terribly, it diminishes you in the algorithm. Unfortunately,
I've never made a short. I don't even know how. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sorry to tell you this, but.
So all the footage is doctored. Is that what you're saying?
And they admit it's doctored.
So then why can't we go?
They admit it's doctored. No, they don't. No, Dean. They don't come back and say, yes, we doctored this footage because no.
And just see it for ourselves.
Well, let's just see if they'll let us.
Oh, they will let us. I've already checked into it.
Yeah. This is the thing. Like, well, why don't we go down there? Yeah, let's go down there then. Let's take a flight to Antarctica. Go inland, get a tour. Let's go ourselves. Oh, they won't let us. Mm-hmm. No, I've already checked. They will let us do that.
Mm-hmm.
Whoops. I do like that Greg's actually ahead of the game here. He's like, well, yeah, I checked with the division. So wait where this goes. This is just amazing where it goes. Can you guess where this goes?
To the moon.
They'll absolutely let us.
Let's go.
They will absolutely let us. And not only will they absolutely let us, I've got a cattle rancher in Texas that will pay for the entire trip. Let's do it. We'll fly right to Antarctica.
Stay 1 week inland. They're gonna let us stay 1 week inland.
Oh, absolutely. There's people inland right now.
Well, yeah, they all work for different governments of the world.
Nah, you don't get to use the governments of the world. There's a lot of people.
Treaty, man. Antarctica Treaty. Read it.
Yes, Antarctica Treaty. The treaty doesn't say anything. Like, there are researchers, there's tourists, there's people just staying in Antarctica who have paid for a sort of, a trip to Antarctica. It is expensive, but someone's willing to pay for you to go.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to stay a week. You only need to stay like 24 hours and you'll see the sun doesn't set. It's summer there right now, right? That's why the webcam from like just a couple of days ago was good, because it's summer at the moment in the Southern Hemisphere. That's why the sun isn't setting. We have a reason for that. You don't. So you cannot admit this thing, which is clearly happening, is actually happening, because you can't explain it. But he's offered to take you for free to Antarctica, to stay there, to see that the sun never sets for yourself. And you're going, they won't let us. When he's already checked and said, hey, they'll let us as part of a tourism visa. They will let you. You can just say, hey, we want to do an expedition. We want to do sightseeing of this place. Yeah, sure. You'll love what his excuse for not going is. You'll love it.
You know what? I did every line of it, and none of it has anything to do with militarization of the area. It even says peaceful expedition.
One
people
guy,
that live
one
in
guy
Antarctica
tried
right
to
now.
go there by himself, and he was seized and arrested and put in jail. All right, so
Yeah, he kind of went there with no permission and just tried to invade the freaking place. Like, could I go to America without any permission to be there? No,
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, what happens when you
can't
go
just-
anywhere without
Right.
proper
I can't
documents?
just enter the US. I can't do that. Like, it's not like I can just sail to the US and I go, oh, well, they didn't let me. Must be hiding something in the US. No.
Okay, I found a copy
What
of my
the
short.
hell? Oh, beautiful. Okay. Give it to me.
a lot of evidence. Let me and you go to Antarctica, spend a week there in the summer, and let's see if the sun does a 360-degree circle all the way around us. If so, it's a ball.
It hung up a bit, I guess.
Oh. It's obviously been doctored by NASA.
Oh, apparently it's still playing. Maybe everybody watching can see it and we just can't. I don't know. But it says it's still playing.
Paused it or anything. Hang on.
Yeah, now it's playing a second time. I don't know. Can you guys see this, or is it frozen? If it is frozen,
Evidence. Let me and you go to Antarctica, spend a week
Okay, now
there
it's
in the
catching up.
summer,
Yeah, yeah.
and
I'll
let's
just
see
speak.
if the sun does a 360-degree circle all the way around us. If so, it's a ball.
Better than Ember.
yay! It
There you
took a
go.
minute. Al's right. It froze up because of the temperature.
Yeah, absolutely. Too cold. Too cold. Too cold. Need insulation. No, that's beautiful. I love that, Ember. I really do. Like, there's plenty. Oh, but it's all been doctored. It hasn't. And there's people living there right now. Like, I just.
Yeah, and it just
I
goes
don't know what to
around
say
and
to
around and around. And there's a station at the geological South Pole. You can literally camp there if you either are a scientist with relevant research or pay a shit ton of money.
Yeah. Yeah. But you can still do a travel visa. It's very expensive. But if you've got a Texan billionaire or Texan guy wanting to do it for you, just do it. Do it.
Mhm.
Just go.
Yeah,
You can't
So you
that's
I-
a
would
rule.
you- I would go.
Oh
Give
yeah.
it to me.
If a rich person is like, "Hey, I'm going to pay for you to go do something crazy," I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I'm going to do something crazy."
Yeah. I'm going to Antarctica. See ya.
Off we go.
Yeah. Why not? I'd love to go to Antarctica. Someone pay that. And maybe I should crowdfund it. Maybe I should crowdfund this guy to go. What? Like, can we send Whitsett to Antarctica in summer? Like, please, just let him explain that. Ugh.
Well, you see, the azimuthal diffraction of the light
Oh,
bouncing
yeah,
off the
yeah.
globe makes it look like.
Yes. The ether, the way that it conglomerates around the outer ice wall, it refracts the light in such a way that the sun appears to never set, but really its standardized trajectory of the azimuth is in fact vectored in such a way that your eyes are fooled.
And don't forget the geomagnetic density.
Oh yeah, so how could I forget? Yeah, geomagnetic density, absolutely. Thanks, Whitsit. Thanks, Austin. Cheers, mate.
Theology over one man that got turned away.
Go ahead. I'll tell you what.
That's crazy
I'll tell
train.
you what, why don't you try?
Oh, I
You go
will.
there by yourself.
Absolutely.
All right.
Well, no.
Go by yourself. Then you go by the. Well, what will that prove? You'll just say that I'm lying. What's the point then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would donate to send Mercedes as well. No, I think we should send Mercedes. Absolutely. There seems like there's hope for that girl, to be honest with you.
You agreed to go with me.
Without government approval.
You agreed to go with me.
Go over there without filling out the forms and see what happens.
Why would I go without filling out the form?
Yeah, no, go to America without filling out the forms they require you to. Yeah, see how that works out for you. Why would you do that? Like, there's things called visas and entry permits and things like that. You can't even go to like some national parks without filling out forms. I don't understand what filling out forms has to do with anything. Yeah, you got to fill out some forms. Big freaking deal. Are the forms going to prevent the sun from setting somehow? Or like if you don't fill out the forms, then suddenly the sun will set? I don't...
The stack of forms will eclipse the sun.
Maybe. But he's basically saying, come to Antarctica and see that the sun doesn't set, therefore proving that the Earth is a globe. Great. It's a fantastic... You don't even have to pay for it. You've just got to go do it. Right? You don't need a week. You only need 24 hours. Right? You've got to watch. Mm-hmm. You know the time. You can see the time. Like, just go. And he's basically like, yeah, but I got to fill in forms. That's going to completely nullify the whole experiment if I've got to fill in forms.
That means I'll be in the government database.
Right. No, well, I'm pretty sure he is already, probably under the possible terrorist category, but you know.
When I can plainly fill out the forms, buy a ticket, and go, and they will let me in.
All I say is don't talk about it until it's done. You haven't proved the
thing. It's been done. No. Over and over and over.
He's not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's done on a, not daily, but certainly a weekly basis. Like, people go to Antarctica, they go to do experiments, they go on tourist visas, they go on ships, they go on planes. This isn't Narnia. It's not like 4 people have gone and we can't tell that they've been. It's just there. Like, seriously. Oh, yeah, boy.
Yeah, he says there's no video, and that bit from that short was from 2017, 6 years ago. This stuff is out there for anybody to find, but he's like, nope, there's no video. Nope. Can't be true.
And if you haven't been there, then you're just taking the word of people. You haven't been there. Just like you taking the word of people about space. You haven't been to space, so you don't know. You just have faith.
Were you there?
Were you there? Thanks, Ken Ham. Do you know? Were you there? If I haven't seen it, it don't exist.
Yep, we can't. France doesn't exist. I've never been there, so France isn't real.
No, absolutely not. I've never been to the US either. I don't think it's real. I think it's just a Australian government hoax to make us afraid of US people.
That's fair.
Yeah, very scary.
In people that are telling you a story.
Okay.
He has lost his church, hasn't he? He's losing it to the flirters. He's
That's the only reason he accepted the debate, because his congregation is split, and more of them are going flurford.
That's not great. It's not great. We should be laughing. It's not great.
It's true. It's hilarious, but it's also terrifying, because like, what if after us and Owen Morgan and all these other people's work trying to take down Greg Locke, and what if it's the fucking flat Earth that does it?
Mm-hmm. But do we really, do we want more flat earthers? That's the question. And I think that is a definite no. Definite no.
All day long.
So there's nothing I can believe about anything because I've not done it. I've not been there.
If you can't witness it with your own eyes, you have to be able to question.
That is amazing, sir. That's incredible for a Christian to say. And Locke picks up on this and uses a great argument, which It's fantastic.
Ridiculous, because the Bible says God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. And if you deny the reality because you can't see God, therefore you don't worship God, that's heresy, and we're not even on the same Christian page.
Look at him.
Burn.
Heresy. Get the Fluffenwaffer. Quick, get the bolter. Heresy detected. Heresy. That's heresy. They're about to start burning each other at the stake about this point.
For real.
Heretic.
I don't even have, I that's one of the memes I came up with very early in my channel, but it's been so long since I used it. It was Ray Comfort actually got the heresy.
Nice.
But
nice.
It's not even on my button pad. It's been so very long.
No. You need the heresy.
You got Christmas presents.
I killed Earl. Well, some other people got Christmas presents. Thank you so much, Earl. Really appreciate it. Awesome. And the lucky winners were Brady, Jason T, Aussie Gold, Martino Berto, Ryan Donovan. I've seen you being hit every single time, Ryan Donovan. You are somehow you've somehow taken over the algorithm. Yeah, you're hacking it. Don't.
He's got a bot.
Don't even try and convince me that's not true. Don't even try. Thank you so much, Earl. Amazing. Thank you so much. Earl's killer. Yeah, Earl murderer. Earl murderer in the house. Yeah, I got to do some more emojis. It's coming along slowly. I kind of whatever tickles my fancy, whatever is a fancy tickler, I'll put on there. I know you do yours democratically, and I can respect that. I just whatever tickles my pickle, basically.
That's perfectly fair. The reason I do votes is because it's an extra enticement for people to join, so they can vote on one emoji. But it's because I pre-made 40 freaking emojis, not knowing that YouTube only gives you 4, and then you unlock more with additional members.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I've got all these pre-made. Let's go with it.
Yep, absolutely. No, you're a lot more organized, and look, I'm the first to say you're a lot more organized and a better person than I am. So we all know that. Come on, we all know that. These guys, this is crazy.
What do you mean, look at this? Your people are just...
We're talking about the physical world, and then you start talking about God. That's not what we're talking about.
There is no physical world without God.
The physical world.
What?
We are talking about the physical world. The heavens declare the glory of God.
The heavens declare the glory of God. That's a solid argument if ever I heard one. What the hell are they talking about? Seriously.
But Bible though. No, to hear a Christian pastor whose entire foundation for believing flat Earth is because Bible say, what's God got to do with this? What?
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In outer space.
I don't have to go to outer space. I've got a telescope. I can look at it.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
He's not wrong.
My God.
I'm gonna tell you, Greg.
He's got no answer for telescopes.
This heretic is getting on my nerves. This heretic. Someone get me my steak and matches. I've had enough of this heretic.
We need a little fire to purge the unfaithful.
Nice. Purge the unbeliever.
It is an aroma pleasing to the Lord.
Very pleasing to the flat earth Lord.
Because you have no answers.
I have given you plenty of answers. Stop. Hold on. Let me stop right now. Hold on a second. I didn't come here to have an argument. Okay? I came here to have a debate where we look at the scripture. So
well, there's a fine line between the two, sir. You've got to understand this. Between an argument and debate, there is a fine line. And probably what would have helped it be a debate instead of an argument would be a friggin' moderator. Oh no. This is like little Timmy's first debate, just completely off the wall, no organization.
It really does remind me of my very first debate in kindergarten, where is Santa real? Soon as the teacher walked out of the room, I saw my parents putting presents under the Christmas tree. Well, I saw Santa in the shopping mall. Well, I saw the sleigh in the sky. Well, it just Just freaking everywhere. Everybody screaming, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. It's just like a kindergartner debate.
Yeah, pretty much.
Look at the
I'm
scriptures.
gonna tell you right now.
We got to set the tone before we look at the scriptures because we got to get through all this crazy train nonsense so we can understand what the Bible
Crazy
actually
train
says.
nonsense.
Oh, this crazy train nonsense.
He takes one to know one, I guess.
Well, I mean, they're both just saying each other's stuff is nonsense. It's yeah.
All right, we're spinning 1,000 miles an hour. We're flying at 66,000 miles an hour.
67.
They change it regularly. 500,000 miles an hour through
We
your
don't.
space that you believe in.
No, they don't. They really don't. What the hell?
And get our
I don't,
the stars never change.
I know the Earth rotates one time a day, 1,000 miles, 1,000 miles an hour, and I believe in the 66. I don't know about all this, the whole galaxies. But there are people in this room that believe the Earth is stationary, but want to convince me of upward acceleration instead of gravity.
That's not true. Nobody believes that.
Surely
Nobody
do.
believes that I know.
Nobody believes that. Fuck's sake, man.
Yeah,
Half
they
the
do.
people believe that. And I should clarify before Tapioca Weasel DMs me, the speed of the Earth around the sun does change. When it's approaching the sun, it goes faster. When it's moving away from the sun, it slows down. It does move a bit, but it's regular. It's part of the orbit.
They don't change it daily. Like,
Yeah.
They don't. Yeah.
Nobody believes in upward acceleration in the form of to misplaced
No.
gravity.
Do you hear it? No, we don't.
No.
Oh, the crowd's just yelling out stuff at the people debating. What is this?
It's The Price is Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who expected it?
Give him the ships going over the horizon, Greggy boy. Just a wild mob in the background. It's nuts.
That's the Flat Earth Society. They're controlled opposition. They believe a bunch of nonsense like a pancake.
So the Flat Earth
That's
Society.
not what we believe.
Okay, so y'all don't get along with the Flat Earth Society.
Yeah, so the Flat Earth Society, they're right about the shape, they're wrong about everything else because we don't believe that.
Mhm.
Irony.
If
They're what do you call them? Shields.
Yeah.
So okay, look, this is what I have a hard time with. There are like 9 different models or beliefs about flat Earth, and I don't understand who's right, who's wrong. Why is Flat Earth Society wrong? But why are you guys?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, tell me
Oh, yeah.
me about how many different versions of things there are, Greg. How do
call
we know
them
which thing to believe in?
denominations. Let's call denominations of flat Earth, just for convenience.
Yeah.
Let's just call them flat Earth denominations and how they all differ. Yeah.
If only there were some way to tell. Wow, I can't believe he
How
doesn't.
could
It just boom, there it goes like
Oh
nil.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
Correct.
Whoop,
You see what I'm saying?
right
That's what I don't
past.
understand. And
Yep.
so just shouting things is not going to help. The reason people can't fathom this is because there's so many different belief systems about it. Whereas we have one model that works.
Yeah, because you've been brainwashed with it since you were born. That's why you have one model. That's what they want you to believe. But listen, we can go back. We can go back to the scientists who believe. The people that y'all look to for this. That created.
I
This,
don't look to any of them.
Copernicus and all them. Look, they were thinking the sun was 3 million miles away. Then it was 12 million miles away. Now it's 93 million miles away. So don't tell me about model. You guys have been working on this.
That's because there's technological advancements across the
But
ages.
it's been changing all the time, and I don't believe the sun's 93 million miles away at all.
I understand that.
In fact, there's evidence to prove that it's not. So
Is there?
what we're getting at is
I don't think there is. I don't think there's evidence like you think there's evidence, like you look at it and think that it's close kind of thing. And a lot of his stuff is, oh, look, there's a cloud behind the sun. No,
Mhm.
it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's the light diffusing. It's not actually behind the sun. The sun isn't as big as you think it is.
like I said, we can do this little argument right here all day long. But I didn't come to argue like this. I mean, maybe you want to make a show out of it, but I'm not here to argue. Like,
I just want to answer the questions that I don't have the answers to, that I'm trying to figure out.
well, like
They're very simple questions. Very.
no, you're not going to play. Look, here's what you're doing. You're playing this little game here with me.
You're playing this little game here. He seems like Dr. Phil.
He does, doesn't he?
Studio, and you're playing a game with me. I wanna talk to your mother right now and see what she'll say. I hate Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil sucks so much. I mean, he's terrible. Down with Dr. Phil. I hate him.
You don't have an answer. You don't have an answer.
Because I'm not a flat earther.
Hold on. I'm talking about your model. You do not have an answer as to why we've been flying through this ever-expanding universe at 500
Oh,
million.
I do have an answer.
Hold on. And the stars never change in our view, ever.
That's
No,
not
we
true.
do have
That
an
is
answer.
true. That is true
Because A, they do change. Some don't because they're really far away from us. That's all. That's the entire explanation.
Mm-hmm. So this is you can see that the tree is behind the sun. So the sun is obviously very local. I took this picture like 10 years ago and I was like, ooh, pretty. But then I looked at it, I'm like, oh, this is going to be useful.
Yeah. I'd love to have that picture, actually. That's awesome.
I can send you a copy. It's easy enough.
Yeah, the sun's not that, it's not as big as the light that you're seeing in the camera. It's not that big.
Yeah, this was like an old cell phone camera.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. But
I
even,
mean,
even you know,
the
cameras
sun's
do
in front
that.
of the tree.
Yeah. Cool. We can grab it and play some football.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir.
Oop. Oh, Discord will work. Send it in Discord.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you. That's a beautiful shot. I love it. It's in front of the tree. It's right next to us. How are we not burning alive?
I know. Well, we know the moon gives off cold light. Why not the sun too?
I've been looking at it for a long time. It is true.
Go to the southern hemisphere and look at the same ones.
Yeah, I've looked at it. I know.
You've been in the southern
Yes,
hemisphere?
I have.
And you've looked up? Can you see Polaris in the southern hemisphere?
Sometimes you can. It depends.
You
But-
never can.
No.
No, you can from certain latitudes. He means go beneath a certain latitude in the southern hemisphere. You never see Polaris anywhere beyond that latitude. I think it's about 37 from memory. I'd have to see. But yeah, he's right. And this guy, I don't think he's been to the southern hemisphere and like seen the different stars like Crux that you never see in the northern hemisphere, which is, you know, the Southern Cross kind of thing. So yeah.
You
never can.
To a certain degree south, you can. But here's the thing. In our model, the biblical model, I believe, and we believe, that both...
Oh, it's the biblical model now, is it?
The sun and the moon are much smaller and much lower and closer to the earth, as well as the stars.
Same size.
We believe they're the same size. And we don't believe the stars are some distant galaxies that are trillions of miles away.
Right.
We believe the stars are much closer. So when things are smaller and closer, when you move away from them, you don't get to see them because of perspective. It seems like I've got a video, I'll show you in a minute, where a guy puts his camera on the ground on a flat football field and he starts walking away from it. Well, he starts walking away from it, his feet disappear first. And then he gets up to his knees and then up to his waist. And then by the time he's at the end of the football field, he can squat down, you can't see him. He hadn't left the flat football field. Right? It's a matter of perspective. And so what happens is, like, the sun doesn't go down. It doesn't go around the curve. It just simply gets too far away for us to see because it's lower and smaller and it gets further away. And it's actually what the Bible says. The Bible doesn't say, you know, the King James doesn't say the sun goes up and down. If you look the word up, it's bow in the Hebrew, and it means just to come in and go out. That's all it means. Like to walk in. It says like to walk in the front door and walk out the back door. It's not talking about going over a curve. And so, again, that's what I'm talking about. Our model, and that's what we get. I'm not. You try to take your model and apply stuff to it to ours. They're completely different.
Oh, they're way different. There's no doubt about that.
They're
There's no
completely
doubt. And I'm not trying to amalgamate the two. There is no amalgamation.
Yeah. That still doesn't explain why you get 24-hour sunlight in Antarctica. It's just saying. And 24-hour darkness is Antarctica in the middle of winter.
Yeah. And so there's a little controversy about how far south you can see Polaris. Most people say it's already under the horizon at 6 degrees south latitude.
Right.
But the official answer, which comes from flat Earth conspiracy theorist Eric Dubay, is that Polaris can be seen up to approximately 23.5 degrees south latitude, the Tropic of Capricorn.
Oh.
Yeah, so
I don't know which
that's
one
neat.
is. Well, I wouldn't trust Eric Dubay on, quite frankly, anything. So, yeah, I'll probably go for the official one because Eric Dubay's a freaking moron.
It's a fun time. But there's another thing Dean's doing. Translation shopping. Whenever he says, if you go back to the original Hebrew, you'll notice that he changes sources a lot, and he'll do it a lot more in his presentation. He'll be like, well, this word actually means this, and sometimes he'll say
Right.
the Greek, and sometimes he'll say the Latin, and sometimes he'll say
Yep.
the amplified Bible. And if he doesn't get what he wants, he'll say, well, what does that word mean? Well, it means this, but what does that word mean when we'll go to this other mean? And he'll just there's a couple spots where he goes through like 3 or 4 different definitions until he gets one that means something he wants it to say.
Mhm.
It's a fun
So this
time.
is Odle, is it? Odle doing
Mhm.
that. Mm.
Information in them. Okay, there's no way I can believe that the sun and moon are the same size and they're what 32 miles wide. Is that something like 3,000 miles? Why can't I go out in the middle of the night and get a telescope and find the sun?
You can't, because every instrument, I don't care what we have. I don't care if it's the most powerful instrument you got. It has a limit to its vision. Most of us in here have a P900.
Yeah,
I have a
but-
P900.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like a telescope.
Yeah, we've used telescopes. We've used.
So why can't I find the sun if it's only 3,000 miles
It's
away?
too far away, and it's moving.
How can it be too?
It's too far away.
It's
For a
so
telescope?
close though. Yeah. It's so he doesn't know this one. Actually, I can't fault him for as much as other stuff, because optics doesn't even get taught in high schools, really. Like, you might get like a week-long
Yeah,
unit
yeah.
of it in high school physics or something. But there's this cool feature that we call infinity focus. It doesn't matter how fucking far away a thing is. Once you hit the hyperfocal distance, everything past that is in perfect focus. It's just a matter of how much light is reaching you.
Yeah.
in 1,000 miles an hour, and it's moving too far away. In its perspective, it's like anything. I don't care. You can drive a car down the road, and sooner or later, even if you're in New Mexico or Arizona, sooner or later, it's going to disappear from your vision. Though it's still on the road, it's still going. And then you can take a high zoom camera and you can pull it back in and catch it again. But eventually, as it keeps going, it's going to get out of the range of that high zoom camera or telescope. They're not every telescope and every camera, no matter how powerful its optical abilities, it still has a limit to it. So it runs out. And so what happens to us, we have a convergence. The way we see things, everything goes down like this to a point. That's why when you see a plane can be flying at us from this direction, and it can be maintaining an altitude of 40,000 feet. But when you're looking at it coming at you, it's going to be low on the horizon. Then it's going to look like it's high above your head. As it goes over you, your eyes are seeing it as it's going down this way, and it's never changed altitude. That's the same with the sun or the moon or the stars.
Yeah, that's not a thing. That's
okay,
not
so
a
as
thing.
you see the plane on the horizon, it's very tiny. As it gets over you, it gets big, and then as it passes, it gets smaller again. Why don't the moon and the sun do that? Why are they the same damn size all the time?
And then they say they do change size, and it's like, no, not if you use a solar filter. Like you're just seeing the corona of the sun. Just use a solar filter. You'll see they don't change size. Especially the moon doesn't change size.
Mm-hmm.
Like it as it passes over, it is the same size.
Yeah, like when we did the debate against Flatzoid, he showed footage of the moon setting, and the moon clearly crossed a physical horizon and did not change size. I'm like, my dude.
Yep.
What the? You're proving there's a fucking horizon there.
Mm-hmm.
Can't be the same with the sun, the moon, and the stars. That's an impossibility. And
I
you
disagree.
can't, You can't have a sun and a moon that are the same size and stay in the exact, whatever, if y'all use the phrase orbit, in the exact same orbit, in the exact same path, it's an impossibility to have that. There's no way in that model.
You don't understand
that scientifically. I don't understand the model because it doesn't work.
Well, our government sure thinks it works.
How does our government think?
Our government thinks it works. No, the government doesn't believe in it at all, nor do 99% of the population. Like, seriously. It worries me that people are actually buying into this stuff, though. Like, seriously? Wow.
It works. They tell you everything. They even base their aircraft flying off a non-rotating flat Earth. They programmed it. Listen, I have a document from 1962. Now, we already had satellites, right? In 1958, first satellite, Echo satellite. This is funny. They tell us that it had basically a 100-yard Mylar balloon, and it went into outer space. Yeah, right. Here's the thing. 1961, 62, I have a document that was classified, meaning that if you exposed it, you were going to prison. In that document, it says that 2 NASA scientists, rocket scientists, programmed their IBM computer to track missiles in space based on a non-rotating flat Earth, and that document was classified. Now, they programmed their computer. So if it's not flat and non-rotating, why on earth would 2 rocket scientists from NASA program their computer to track a missile in space that way? So when I say the government believes it, because they have to build things to work the way the
so this is they probably had some measurements that were based on a flat stationary plane, and then they used as part of their calculations for something. So he's going to go, oh, well, then they know it's flat and straight. No, some of their other calculations may have incorporated the sort of rotation of the Earth and the curvature of the earth. Like this. They read these documents and they're so freaking stupid. They apply it like what they say to everything, and it's not what they're saying. Yeah. It was for a simulator. Yeah, that makes sense, Nebris. That makes sense. Yeah, I've got no idea who Locke is. I did not know this about him. I probably should sort of, veto my subjects a bit more, I guess. It's just I just found this hilarious. Like two Christians arguing about flat Earth just sounded hilarious.
Oh, it absolutely is. And, even though it makes Locke look slightly more legitimate than Dean, he does make a bit of an ass of himself in several places. So, yeah, even Owen Morgan, who has done more work on Greg Locke than anybody, didn't have a problem showing this debate.
Mm-hmm.
Earth really is, and the way the system really is, but they just don't tell you that. You have to dig and find that out.
Well, we have a military. How many military folks do we have in the building? On either side. If you're military, stand up. If you're military, stand up. All over the room. Thank you for your service. Thank you. All right. Do you then, any of you on your side, and I'm asking politely, do you deny the reality that our government has spent billions of dollars on over-the-horizon missile systems? Why would they build over-the-horizon missile systems unless they were going to shoot them over the horizon for the curvature of the earth for an enemy that you can't see?
Here's a fact. Have you interviewed I interviewed a guy named Sean. He's in my book. He was a Sparrow missile instructor for the Navy. And I interviewed him and I said, tell me about your laser weapon on your ship. Now, the Navy has a laser weapon. I actually have the article. I actually have it in this. The Navy has a laser weapon that is clearly lasers are line of sight. They don't bend over a curve.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the ones that do.
No. Well, you can shoot. Okay, let's give you your alleged curve. Yes, you can shoot a projectile up in the air over a curve and then make it land where you want to.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
In fact, ICBMs rely on the Earth rotating in order to like shoot a ballistic missile intercontinentally. They go up. They basically they do fly, but essentially they do a big parabolic arc, and the Earth rotates underneath the missile basically, and then it comes back down. It's very weird that he's sort of like, oh no, these missiles, these laser guided missiles. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, he's missing the point. So one cool thing we do have in Alabama is I forget the full name of the thing, but it's a big fucking maser, a microwave laser, basically.
Right.
And it's part of our ICBM defense network. It has an effective range of about 3,000 miles because it's really up high, like really up high.
Yeah.
The reason it has to wait for ICBMs to come over the horizon is because they have to come over the horizon because the Earth is not flat. Otherwise, it would have a nearly infinite range.
Hold on, I'm talking about shooting straight across.
No. They don't shoot. Nothing does this. A laser doesn't do this.
I'm not asking about a laser.
I'm telling you about a weapon system. Now, you want to talk about your weapon system. I want to talk about mine. All right.
But I asked you about mine because I asked the question.
And I just said, I don't know exactly what weapon you're talking about. I'm getting specific. What weapon are you talking about?
Over the horizon missile system, which is a missile that shoots across the ground over the horizon because of the curvature of the Earth and hits an intended target that you can't see because of the curvature of the Earth.
Okay. Hear what I'm about to say. I don't care about that. I'm telling you, I'm going to tell you what. No. Don't interrupt me. Because if you interrupt me, we're just going to be done. Because I'm not going to be interrupted.
But we were done when we got started. I can tell you that. But
you know,
my brother is a lieutenant colonel in the military. Okay?
My friend, Lieutenant Colonel.
Then I want him to stay.
Oh, no, it's just, I know military. No, my military guys are better than your military guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, seriously.
And I want him to publicly deny over the horizon missile systems in the United States military.
Let's stop right there. All right. I'm going to tell you about a laser because we know lasers are line of sight weapons.
Right.
My lieutenant colonel friend, he actually speaks fluent Russian, taught at West Point, and will tell you that they're not only are they radar, but laser weapons are line of sight weapons. The Navy admits in their defense magazine that their laser weapon that has no curvature to it whatsoever, it's not curving, can shoot down Russian and Chinese cruise missiles flying 50 feet over the water over 100 miles away. Now, let me explain to you what 100 miles is, because you didn't know a minute ago what curvature is supposed to be there at 100 miles. I'll tell you. If the Earth is a sphere, 24,901 miles in circumference, the 8 inches per mile squared on average means that in 100 miles, there should be 6,666 feet of curvature. That's well over a mile of curve. There is no laser weapon shooting from a Navy ship doing this to hit a missile moving at Mach 4. I'm sorry, but the Navy admits by that the Earth is level and non-rotating.
I can assure you, the United States military does not admit that the Earth is flat. And if it does, then how come you can't trust them, but now you can trust them? You see, you only
I
trust
already
people.
answered that question.
You only trust people that are on your.
I already answered that question. Don't ask it again. Okay, thanks for the links, guys. Really appreciate it. It sounds depressing, but I do want to find out about it. I had no idea that he was that bad, but yeah. Yeah, about 1.4 degrees. Yeah, you're right, Tenebra. It's about there.
Side. You never trust anybody that has an opposing side.
Not true.
Yeah, 100% true.
I've listened to all kinds of people about this stuff. I've interviewed all kinds of people. I guarantee you I've done far more research than you have on this issue.
Oh, I guarantee you after this debate, I'll never research this foolishness again. I can promise you that right now.
Well, see, that means you've already.
Yeah, so this is just, I guarantee I've done more research than you. Like, seriously, guys, like, stop. Just,
You made up your mind.
I have made up my mind because I'm about to show you from the Bible God's made up his mind.
Let me just go ahead and state this out front.
okay, so this is the introduction. I had to cut a whole lot of section out. This is, I don't know how long we want to listen to this. Probably about half an hour or so is all I could probably stomach. We'll go through a few things, but this carries on for literally an hour. I'm not even joking. And it's supposed to be his introduction. Why they did the introduction after discussion, I don't know. Why they allowed it to be an hour, I don't know. Nobody knows. It's a mystery. But this is what happens when you expect preachers to debate. Okay, so keep that in mind. These two guys are preachers. They're not sort of interlocutors. They're not people. They're not really apologists. They're preachers. And that shows so heavily in what they're doing.
When it comes to the Bible, it's without question a flat, non-rotating, geocentric Earth. That's just the way it is. The only way the other side gets to make it a spinning, flying sphere is that they have to say, oh, those passages about the pillars of the earth and the foundation of the earth and the earth doesn't move, that is just metaphors. That's just poetry. But folks, I'm going to read this scripture here. We're going to read a few scriptures first to start off with.
I love that his laptop says powered by Jesus. So presumably Jesus gets a flat battery occasionally. I just love that. You know, like
you got to recharge Jesus now and then.
Yeah, you got to recharge Jesus. Yeah. Could you plug the cable in? Jesus has run low. You know, I want to see the Muslim that says Muhammad inside or something. You know what I mean? Like just Allah inside. You know, like, powered by Jesus. No, I'm pretty sure it's electricity, but hey, you believe whatever you want, buddy.
And this is 2 Peter 1, 16 through 20. You guys can put it on the screen for everybody. Let's read this. It says, we have not followed cunningly devised fables when we made known unto you.
I don't really feel like I want to.
Language. I'll say, like, for instance, let's talk about a symbolic language. The Bible talks about a 7-head, 10-horned beast in the book of Revelation and in Daniel, right? But that 7-head, 10-horned beast, we find out is a literal thing. It's going to be a world government. In fact, the United Nations has already become that, a 7-head, 10-horned beast. You have the 5 on the permanent council. You have.
Yeah, that's the big 5. It's UK, France, US, Russia, and is China one of the big 5? I don't think China is. No, it's Germany. Germany is the last one on the big 5.
The P5 plus 1, which is Germany, makes 6, and then the EU head comes in when they have a serious problem, like the Iranian nuclear deal. So you have 7 heads, and then under that you have.
Yeah, no, that's not how the UN is organized. No, that is not how the UN is organized at all. The EU doesn't come into. So he's basically talking about the UN Security Council. There's 6 divisions of the UN, and the Security Council is just one of them, kind of thing. So no, that's not a thing.
10 rotating positions. So literally, the UN that's going to end up being a world government has already 7 heads and 10 horns. So even though there's symbolic language at times in the Bible, it's talking about something that's real. Okay, and that was what we need to agree on. But all Scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine. So the moment somebody says, well, what the Bible says in the book of Job or whatever about creation doesn't matter. No, it matters because it's profitable for doctrine, right? Whole world, he was cast into the earth and his angels were cast out with him. Now, we are told, this is in the book of Revelation, chapter 12, that Satan would deceive the whole world. How is it that we think that?
So basically what he's trying to say is all of our science and everything that we've built up, this model of the world that we use on an everyday basis, is the product of Satan. That's what he's trying to say. and the UN is somehow this beast that is tricking us into thinking the Earth is a globe. It's so ridiculous. I'm just skipping past the sort of Bible passages because it's just sort of, oh well, the Bible says this, therefore that's what it is, and it's there's nothing to sort of review here. It's just, you know, Christians being Christians.
Satan, who is invisible, who has power, who actually has people who serve him in the government, in the militaries of the world. How is it that we think if we gave him $60 million a day, which is NASA's budget, that he couldn't deceive the whole world with something?
Yeah, NASA's budget is a tiny fraction of, like, it's 0.3 or something percent of the US budget. Like, military has way more. Social services has way more. It's not even that big a budget, to be honest with you. Like, I can find a graph of it. Hang on. I did this for one of my flat Earth debates kind of thing.
Yeah, because that's the best they can ever come up with as far as motive is. Oh, well, NASA's budget. Oh, that's the motive, is it? Well, they're kind of sucking at it.
Yeah, their budget is not that huge. I did have a graphic for it. Hold on, I'll see if I can find it. There was a really good sort of pie chart thing. Oh, that one will do. No. Why do you have to be like this? Okay. Oh, that's NASA's budget kind of thing. No, that's not what I wanted. That's the entirety of NASA's budget. It is really small though. Let's see. Is that what I'm after?
Tiny budget.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so this is NASA's budget, right? 0.3%. So income assistance 34, healthcare is 20%, all other programs 13, other mandatory, veterans are 2%, which probably should be higher. Defense is like, it's so much more, and income assistance is so much more than just NASA. Healthcare is way more than NASA. NASA's budget is actually tiny. It's not that big. It probably should be higher.
Very much so. The only reason it's visible is because this is a planetary society. It'd vanish into all other programs, if not for the fact they were specifically singling it out. Yeah. It's so insignificant by comparison.
Yeah. It's absolutely tiny. I mean, you should probably drop down defense a little bit and just put some more in veterans benefits and NASA. You know, I think that'd be a good idea. It's really weird. It's really weird that they say, oh, you know, they get tons of money. No, they don't. They really don't. Like, I'm really sorry, but you're wrong. They get a pittance. And that might have gone up since we are doing sort of the moon missions in next year? 2025, I think it is. 2024 or 2025, yeah, a couple of years. But yeah, it's not big.
And we know from the Bible
that's what she said.
Creator, and that leads us to a creator.
Every time
excuses the creation. So if you were the devil and you wanted to lead people away from the Bible and finding Jesus as their Lord and Savior, you would need to twist the creation story to make it completely wrong and get people to believe that your version of it is right and the Bible's is wrong. All right? But that's exactly what Satan has done. Now, people all...
Okay, so do you know what this fallacy is?
What the hell did he say?
He said if the devil wanted to make people doubt the Bible, then he would convince people that the Bible is wrong about the shape of the earth kind of thing.
Oh, okay. I think I see what he's going for. Like, he's...
Yeah.
Because the earth is a globe, the Bible, the entire Bible is untrustworthy. I mean, The entire
Correct,
Bible is
yeah.
untrustworthy because of what's in the Bible, but details.
Sure. But that particular one is called affirming the consequent, right? He's like, if the devil was trying to corrupt the, people, then it would show that the cosmology of the Bible is wrong. It shows that the cosmology of the Bible is wrong. Therefore, the devil is trying to corrupt the people, right? Like, you're just saying, hey, if therefore this makes it true. No, that's not how that works. You can't, like, that one thing doesn't lead to another. Like, just because the Bible of the cosmology in the Bible is shown to be wrong, it doesn't necessarily mean that the devil's doing that, right? It's just you saying, hey, if there was a devil and they wanted to do this, that's what they'd do.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean that's what's happening. Yeah.
It's the same thing as today's video I was refuting a precept guy, and his argument was, if God, therefore the universe is intelligible. God, therefore the universe is intelligible. And I'm like, my dude,
right.
You've got it backwards. You're supposed to say the universe is intelligible, therefore God. But
Correct,
even that doesn't hold up because there's no logical entailment between your prepositions.
Yes.
Christians, when they come up, they ask, well, why does this matter? Well, we're going to find out in just a second. But here's another verse. People don't talk about conspiracy. Look, there's conspiracy theories, and then there's conspiracy facts. Look, when they tell you, like, for instance, they're going to make a vaccine, well, Bill Gates said this, and their bands asunder and
I'm going to get demonetized.
Out there is to turn people away from the truth of God's word.
Yep.
You understand? That's
controversial
that's
conspiracy facts.
Maps and models, and I have my military experts, and he has his. We can argue this stuff all day long. But the bottom line is the fruit of what's going on. And does the Bible say it? But there is a plot. Now, let me show you part of where that plot is. Let's go to Romans.
Oh, man, I didn't know he did so many Bible verses. I thought he got some flat earth stuff, because he really does. Okay.
Big bang. That nothing exploded and created everything. Right?
No, that's not true.
Nope. Draw, dude.
But
no.
This is their thing. It's the next one. Did I do it right?
Yeah.
That one right there. So their big bang. Look at it. They're at billions of years. These galaxies and stars and all this stuff. This is their version. But this is not God's version. Now, let me ask you a question.
I'm sorry. God's version? Has God published something? I wasn't aware God was published. Wow. I would like to read that paper. No, you don't have God's version. You have a book that claims to be from God. That's all. But, preacher's going to preach.
We would think it's ridiculous now. Like modern science. Modern science says that we evolved from the primordial goo, and these creatures came along, and then we finally became primates, and then we finally, after millions and zillions of years, we
Yeah, zillions of years, Ember. Were you aware of that? Zillions.
Yeah. Who knew we had the time scale off by that much? But I do want to point out that he keeps saying, finally. That's mythological language. Like, anytime you see a creation myth, first this, and then gods, and yada yada, and finally humans appeared.
Right. We're still in progress. We're still doing the thing. Yeah. No, good point. Very good point. Yeah.
Evolved from primates or monkeys. Now, why as Christians do we not believe that? Number one.
Well, primates are monkeys. Or monkeys are primates, rather, I should say. Primates or monkeys? Why not both?
There is no evidence. If there was millions of years of this transitional phase, there would be skeletons and fossils of this transitional phase. So number one, there's no evidence that we can see.
No skeletons and fossils?
Yeah, we get the point. Yep.
Where'd I put the button?
Please.
This
still
goes on for
going.
quite some time.
I know, right? But the point is that we've where are the bones? Look at the bones.
If only we had one fossil.
Oh,
The Bible clearly teaches that we didn't come from monkeys over millions of billions of years. Now, we don't believe the scientists. The scientists would get up here and tell you it's a fact that we came from monkeys. But we don't accept that. But then we're going to accept their version. You say, well, I've heard people say, well, I believe in the Big Bang. God made a Big Bang, and that's the way it was. No. He tells us exactly how he created the earth in Genesis, in Job, in Psalms. He tells us exactly how he did it.
well, Psalms is poetry. We know this to be true. Like, there's a lot of, Psalms is literally poetry. Like, it's literally okay.
And it's important. You say, well, why is it important? Well, let me show you something before we get to that. Let me show you what Neil deGrasse Tyson, one of our top astrophysicists, and Michio Kaku tell us.
Ooh, Michio Kaku.
Oh, is that hella loud for anybody else? Holy crap. Al Trucker, member for 3 months. Thank you so much, Al. Greg Locke narrowly edged Flurf by agreeing with Globe. Yeah. It wouldn't be hard to see him going over to the Flurf side, especially because most of his congregation believed it. I'm waiting for the 180 any day now.
There is a crisis in cosmology. Usually in science, if we're off by a factor of 2 or a factor of 10, we call that horrible. We say something's wrong with the theory. We're off by a factor of 10. However, in cosmology, we're off by a factor of 10 to the 120. That is 1 with 120 zeros after it. This is the largest mismatch between theory and experiment in the history of science.
Dark matter. I get asked what it is, and my best answer is we haven't a clue. We don't know what it is. We look out in the universe, and 85% of all the gravity that's out there.
We don't know something, therefore God.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that God fits this gap? I don't know, Dean. It might just do that.
Has some mysterious unknown source. We add up all the stars, the galaxies, the planets, the comets, the black holes, the dark clouds, everything out there that we can see, touch, smell, or taste. And it doesn't add up to give us the gravity that we see operating in this universe. So really, we should be calling it the dark force. Because we don't know if it's made of matter. It could be a profound misnomer, sending people off in thought directions that might not really be the right path. So dark matter is just simply what we call this thing about which we know nothing, responsible for 85% of the gravity of the cosmos. We've known about dark matter since the 1930s. Back then it was called missing mass. That's what it was called. Because there's got to be some mass. Where is it? We can't find it. It's got to be here somewhere because we got the gravity. If you have the gravity, you got to have the mass. Mass and gravity go together. It's really dark gravity. Actually, we shouldn't call it anything. We should call it Fred. Something that has no meaning because we don't know what it is to call it. But it is the longest standing unsolved problem in modern astrophysics.
Now, here's 2 of your top scientists in the world telling you.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I thought that Kaku was more biology and stuff. Is he a physicist?
He is a physicist, but you'll notice that the clip that was used is he said there is a crisis in cosmology and we're off by a large factor. But he never actually says what he's talking about.
Right.
Like, is it the crisis in cosmology we're dealing with the JWST right now? How, the age of galaxies versus the age of the CMBR have this gap between their error bars that we still haven't resolved? Is he talking about the
I assume dark
greater
matter
than
as
one
well.
redshift? What's that?
Yeah, maybe. I was assuming it was dark matter as well, sort of,
That's sort of the picture he's trying to paint
forces.
for you, because he's
But is
connected
that the
the
case?
two.
You're right, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
and Doc Dino, member for 1 month. Thank you so much, Doc. Kind of want to make a slideshow on just human ancestors. Yeah, why not? We've got a pretty solid lineage and see the differences between them. Thank you, Jock. Appreciate it, mate.
You may want to email Erica, because I recall she had a similar idea, and that way you could share primate pics. And she'll listen to you because she's seen you debate before.
Right. Just say that you've debated Hovind and she'll be on board, because quite frankly anybody that tells that guy to shove it is fine with her. Just say you don't like Donnie. That'll do the trick.
Then on cosmology, they're off by 10 with 120 zeros beside it. Then they start telling you.
But where, Dean?
Yeah,
where are we off by 10 to the 20 zeros? Like,
Yeah.
what specifically are you talking about? He doesn't
He
know.
doesn't know. Yeah.
This gravity nonsense and spinning and flying things. They said it's going to have a certain amount of gravity, but we don't know. It doesn't have that. What they're saying is that our whole system we built makes no sense to us. It doesn't work. And I'll tell you why they call it missing mass. The missing mass is called the firmament. You're going to see that.
Said the whole system makes no sense. It doesn't work. He never said that.
Yeah.
He never said that.
Wait, what did
Like,
Dean just
no.
say? The missing mass is called the firmament?
I think so, yeah.
That's not how firmament works.
No, it really doesn't. Dr. Dino for $2 US. Having fun tonight, you damn 38s. Drink time. If you want, go for it. Although I really don't recommend like doing some sort of drinking game to these two, because seriously, you will end up dead. I don't endure it. Like every time they make a mistake in physics, do not do that. Please. Please. Please.
That's what they miscalculate. But I'm going to share you with you this here, and we're going to skip ahead here. I'm not going to talk about this. This is what is called the Hebrew concept of the universe. This is what the Bible teaches, right? And we'll get back to this in just a second, but it shows you that this is what the firmament is: the dome structure over the flat, non-rotating earth. Hell is beneath, heaven is above that. God's throne sits on that. This is what the Bible teaches. There's all the scriptures around that. We're going to get to that in a second.
And
So,
Dean,
not like that, not that.
what is Sheol? If you're
What
going to
is Sheol?
say the Hebrew concept of the universe is reality, then you cannot deny that the Old Testament is very clear that if you go anywhere when you die, it's to Sheol, period.
Right.
Good,
Not
bad,
heaven.
ugly, whatever.
Mhm.
Sheol.
Yep.
So, what's the point of your Jesus, Dean? If that is reality, what is the point of your Jesus?
Mm-hmm.
Like that sphere you're looking at there is a composite image. But here's what the Bible says. The Bible describes a solid firmament dome covered in flat earth and set on pillars on a foundation that God himself built. Nothing in the Bible describes the earth as a sphere. All right.
Ooh,
So
cool.
you literally think there's pillars underneath the earth.
Literal pillars.
What is that resting on?
You can't fool me. It's turtles all the way down.
All the way down, yeah. All that it's missing is the elephants, yeah. Oh, no.
I'm going to show you that. I'm going to prove that. But many Christians ask, why does it matter? Or just say the issue or the nature of creation doesn't matter. I'm going to tell you why it matters. And you're going to see this. Now, before we get to that, I want you to see Jesus said this. This is Matthew 24. This is Jesus talking. These are in your red letters here. Jesus said that immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun shall be darkened, the moon shall not give her light, the stars shall fall from heaven. He didn't say meteorites, comets. He said the stars. It's the same word he used throughout the Bible for the stars. Now, either they're stars or they're not stars. Now, the heliocentric Copernican model that you guys, some of you want to believe in, says that the stars out there are bigger, are massive, bigger than the Earth. They're huge things. That if one fell to the Earth, it would swallow the Earth. So Jesus did not teach the Copernican cosmology. He taught a biblical cosmology, and that the stars are smaller, closer, and are going to fall to the Earth.
Yeah, so I have to thank Dean for pointing out that Jesus himself demonstrates that the Bible cannot be taken literally. If you take it literally,
Correct.
it is 100% untrue and therefore a false religion.
Yep.
Cool. Good job.
Thanks.
Now, that's Jesus in the Bible. And if you say
Yes.
that it's not the stars, it's some meteorites or comets.
Yes, that is your perfect God in the Bible, getting cosmology ass backwards and completely wrong.
Or whatever, you're making up stuff because you are filtering that through a bias you've been brainwashed with from birth. All right. The Bible says the stars. I was talking to a person.
The brainwashing
Irony,
from
anyone?
birth again. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Anybody note the irony of that statement? No? Okay.
Who was a science teacher, who's a strong Christian. And I said, what about the stars falling to the earth? And he goes to Revelation 6 and he says, well, don't you think that's just what John was seeing was asteroids and meteorites falling? It wasn't really stars. And I said, well, you got a problem with that if you're going to say it's just asteroids and meteorites, because Jesus said it was stars. So did Jesus know what he was talking about or not?
No, he
Indeed.
did not.
And I have another question for Dean. If there's a impenetrable dome over the earth, where do the asteroids and meteors that do fall to Earth come from? How are they getting through the dome?
Miracle?
God left a window open.
Yeah. Then why don't the waters above the firmament come rushing in? It's all too hard. Whoa, yeah, Jesus
So here's
was
the problem.
right.
Seriously, the Bible does not agree with the cosmology of this world system, NASA and everybody else. And what's amazing to me, let me just say this. What's amazing to me is that Christians have tried to mix the world system cosmology into Christianity, and they don't work. You can't do it. And this
Yeah, I kind of think that it doesn't work, to be honest with you. But that's one of the many reasons I don't believe the Bible. Many reasons, not just that. There's a lot of reasons, but that is definitely
Yeah,
you've got a good
weirdly, when these wingnuts get off on these tears, I find I actually
Yeah.
am agreeing with them. Like when Ken Ham says, if you can't believe the Bible in Genesis 1, what makes you think you can believe any of the rest of it? And I'm like, well, yeah,
Right.
you're right.
Yeah.
is proof of that right here. And I'm going to show you what the atheists do. Now, let's listen to this. This is Neil deGrasse Tyson again, one of your top astrophysicists, astronomers.
I think I've had
Things to
enough of
emerge.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
The Bible is religious people are not behaving that way. They say, yes, science is cool, we're good with that. And use the Bible to get your spiritual enlightenment and your emotional fulfillment.
I have known serious religious people, not fundamentalists, who were scared when Carl Sagan opened his series with the words, "The cosmos is all it is, or ever was, or ever will be." Maybe that scared them, because they interpret that to mean, then if this is it, there's nothing else, no God and no life after.
For religious people, many people say, well, God is within you, or God, there are ways that people have shaped this, rather than God is an old gray-bearded man in the clouds. So if God is within you, what I'm sure Carl would say, in you, in your mind, and we can measure the neurosynaptic.
Okay, now we're going to move on from here. But you understand, see, why does it matter? Because people have believed this instead of believing what God's word said, and many people have fallen away. They've walked away. People have said, I'm not following God anymore. I'm not a Christian.
That's not the fault of the universe and how it's structured. That's the fault of the Bible getting it wrong. Like, I don't, he's basically trying to tell people, if his interpretation of the world and the flat earth is wrong, then more people will leave the church. That's what he's trying to say. So it's an argument from consequence, right? He's saying it has to be true, or else there's these negative consequences. However people see it does not give a shred of, that's not any evidence towards your conclusion about the shape of the earth, right? It doesn't matter.
It also strikes me, because as we were talking about earlier, later in his presentation, probably in the part we'll skip because it's stupid, is where he talks about all the atheists who converted because flat earth brought them to Jesus. Here, he's saying the exact opposite of that. Here's all these people who are deconverting because reality doesn't match what the Bible says it should, so they know it's not true. Like, how do you want it, Dean? What are you doing?
I don't know. He's making an excellent case for atheism, I gotta say. Excellent case.
I watched a thing this week where even many Bible scholars are departing because they accept science as God, as like it's infallible, instead of trusting God's word. Let me tell you, this world is full of lies, folks. I believe they've lied about everything. I believe they've lied about the sun, moon.
Irony.
Okay, rule of parsimony. Has everyone lied about everything, or is Dean fucking up? Because in order for Dean to believe everyone has lied everything, he has to think he himself is infallible.
Stars, the whole thing. I can tell you this much. I don't care how many people you brought in here. I'm going to stand with what Jesus said and the way he described it. And what's beautiful about it is every now and then he gives us the ability to prove it. And I have Joe Hanby here. We may call him up, but Joe Hanby has been doing some amazing experiments in photography. He has actually photographed the nebula with the stars in front of them with a shadow behind the stars on the nebula, showing you it's not what you've been told. Matter of fact, NASA artists do most of what you think is space.
No, they don't. No.
How do you get a shadow behind it? Like, okay, either the star is the light source, and so even if there were a dome behind it, it wouldn't cast a shadow because it's a light source.
Right.
Or it's not a light source. It's like a mirror or something reflecting the sun's light. How do you get the sun's light on the dome without it being daytime? Like either way, you can't get a shadow behind a star. What you can do is over sharpen the fuck out of a picture so that the contrast ring around a star turns into a fucking wall of black.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sort of in a nebula, there are different sort of levels of darkness that you'll see, because there's a whole bunch of dust in there. I'm not sure what he's referring to, though. I've never seen what he's talking about.
Yeah, he doesn't show the picture. I mean, it could be something as simple as the Pleiades up close. You can see the blue gassy dust that the stars are floating in. They're in a nebula. So maybe he thinks that's a shadow. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe that is good. Oh, good night, Earl. Really good to see you. Thank you for dropping by. Good night, Earl.
Disney. Guy worked for Disney. Now works for NASA. I'm going to skip this atheist.
The guy that worked for Disney now works for NASA. So what does he work as? That's the question. Does he do? Because NASA does do graphics. Don't get me wrong. It's just, not everything is CG. And this is the thing they don't understand. A digital picture is not CGI, right? That's not the same thing as a computer-generated image. A digital camera is just a sort of snapshot in it's not the same thing.
Now, I'm talking about how science can impact. Here's a story.
Yeah, this is just more of the same.
And they didn't do it because all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, this is.
I could give a lot of examples of this.
He was a believer in Christianity, found out that the Earth wasn't flat, and then he took his own life because he couldn't have faith in Christianity. That's not the fault of reality. That's the fault of Christianity that has convinced him he's got nothing to live for if his faith isn't true. That's Christianity's fault.
That actually happened near me. That was up in Watertown Community College, Monroe Community College, which is the town where I do the Comic Con. Yeah, his name was Jesse Kilgore, and what happened was he was raised super evangelical, as you might expect. I forget if Flat Earth was part of it or not, whatever, but he was instilled with so much confidence in his faith. It's the word of Jesus is unshakable, whatever. He became a debate me bro, right? And when he took his biology class at the community college, he kept doing that debate me bro bullshit against the professor. So finally the professor got sick of it and said, listen, you're reading all, these are the facts. You can deny them if you want, but these are the facts. If you,
like a professor will do, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And basically their conversations got more and more heated, and finally the professor was like, listen, you need to sort out some issues with God, right? So why don't you take a look at Dawkins' book? He read Dawkins' book, shattered his faith, because he could no longer hide behind Jesus and pretend reality wasn't real anymore. And even that wasn't the thing that did it. The thing that did it was, once he'd lost his faith, he knew his family, which was just as evangelical as him.
Right.
They'd kick him out. They wouldn't accept him anymore. That's why he was driven to extreme measures. Because he no longer had a place in the world. He didn't know who he was or where he belonged. And he'd been lied to his whole life. That's a lot to deal with all at once, And it's really, really disgusting that Dean is wheeling out this tragic story and saying, see, these are the consequences of biology and science. And it's no, it's the consequences of you fucking lying to people, you monster.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's horrible. That's horrible. But even if it wasn't, even was just because his beliefs were shattered, that's not the fault of science and reason. It's the fault of the religion that instilled in this thing. This is absolutely true when it is demonstrably not true. Yeah, the family blamed atheism and Dawkins and the professor. Yeah, no, they're not to blame. All they're doing is telling him the truth. If you told him the truth from the start, it wouldn't have been a problem. Yeah, that's awful. God damn.
By atheist Richard Dawkins, an atheist biologist, and he noted that 59 to 70% of students growing up in a Christian background will likely lose their faith or abandon their religion by the time they reach college. An example of someone who contributes to this statistic is Kyle Simpson, who had a similar story to Jesse. Like Jesse, Kyle was raised a Christian, but science changed his mind and beliefs when he was in his 20s. Although he did not take his own life like Jesse, Kyle decided to discontinue his faith in Christianity. So you're going to tell me it doesn't matter. Now, I want to say this tonight. I want to say hey to our atheist friends. One of the reasons I'm going down this road is because here we have Owen Morgan, who has about 4.
Oh, you've got atheist friends? I wouldn't have guessed that. I really wouldn't have guessed that. I think he's lying. I don't think he has atheist friends. I think they're heretics and damned.
100,000 followers. Another guy, the friendly atheist, who has about 100,000. They're all talking about they're going to watch this tonight. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, I'm going to show you some fruit. That when people have seen the evidence for a flat, geocentric, non-rotating Earth, that many atheists have seen the geocentric, stationary, flat Earth. Here's a story.
Yeah, okay.
Of creation.
So let's skip this.
With that little telescope there. Now, I don't have time to go through. I'm going to just run through these very quickly. But
okay, this is the stuff. 100% Photoshop. Do you know what this is?
I'm gonna say Earth.
Cool. This picture is one of the things for blue marble. Okay, so you remember the famous blue marble shot?
Mm-hmm.
This is actually called blue marble as well. It's basically the screensaver for the Apple phone, right? It's one of the options you can have as the screen. And of course it's photoshopped. It was based on the blue marble, the famous shot, but it was changed to look cooler.
American centric. The famous blue marble from the Apollo missions, the first single photo that had the Earth in it, it was mostly centered on Africa.
Right. So I'm going to find that image for you, just so we can all sort of see what we're talking about. So this was taken by the Apollo 17 crew as they left and so turned the camera around and took this shot with the sun kind of behind them. So this is blue marble. And as you can see, yeah, it's been Americanized, it's been changed, it's been updated, it's been made prettier. So this. Now that was taken, don't forget, in 1970 something. What was it, 73? Was it 73?
No, I think, what was it, Apollo 17? So that
72.
would have been, yeah.
72. So, okay, keep that in mind.
We know that we've caught them photoshopping clouds and stuff. They create these images of Earth. They're not real pictures.
So this is the visualizer and designer for Mr. Blue Marble. How old do you think that guy is?
Oh, in that photo, maybe 30, maybe.
Yeah, so Robert Simon, he was born, right? He was born in about 2000 and something. Let's see, when was he born? 19. Yeah, so he put that picture up on the first iPhone in 2007. Right, so this guy somehow was around in 1972 to Photoshop this picture.
Sure.
Now, this came
so was
up
Photoshop.
in a debate. This came up in a debate. I think it was with Austin Whitsitt. It might have been Nathan Thompson. One of the two. It might have been Austin, though. That, hey, this is Photoshopped. Well, yes, it was the wallpaper for an iPhone. But he didn't take the picture. Like, because this picture is called Blue Marble in the Shop, they think this picture is the one taken by the Apollo crew. That is how bewilderingly stupid this is. They honestly think that this person who created this image in 2007 somehow did this in 1972, which is dumb.
Yep. Why not?
This person wasn't even born in 1972. He wasn't born. How did
Now,
he take
Mark,
this picture?
You can't
What?
prove he isn't a time traveler.
That is true. That is true. But yeah, that closed down in that debate. That stopped rather fast because he wasn't even born when the Apollo missions were happening. How could he possibly have photoshopped that? Mr. Blue Marble, yeah, because it was called Blue Marble in the store when you wanted it as your background, you doink. Like, the level of idiocy of this.
When the guy who did the blue marble says it's Photoshop because it has to be, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it has to be, because the actual Blue Marble didn't look very good on the phone. That's why he said he photoshopped it and touched it up and made it brighter. Because the original didn't look that great. Ah.
Yeah. And
NASA artists.
Many of our photos are actually composite photos. It's just
Yes.
like when you take a panorama with your phone, it stitches the pictures together. Yeah, that means it's technically been digitally manipulated, but that doesn't mean what you're seeing is fake.
Yes.
Do the pictures of the world. So this is just
This is
insane.
how it,
Here's two pictures they tell us are from space of the Earth. I want y'all to look at North America. Which one is correct? Because the one there, the big one, seems like North America's taking up a big section of the ball there, much bigger than it really is. So we get these kind of things, and they want us to trust.
Yeah. So what happens when you go towards the Earth and then take a picture with it a lot bigger and then shrink it down? Well, what happens then again, Ember?
It distorts a little, I dare say.
And it looks like it's bigger. Like the land masses are bigger. No.
I mean, clearly somebody just blew into the Yucatan Peninsula and inflated North America for this photo.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
It's just impossible. Here's
There's our original.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he kind
There's the
of
original.
he kind of demonstrates the answer to what he was talking about earlier.
Yes. He literally shows the original.
Because you can't see the entire Earth from any point in space because it's a damn globe, half of it at least. Like, even at maximum view, if you were as far away from the Earth as you can get and still see the Earth with your telescope or whatever, you're only ever going to see 49 point something percent, because at least 50% of it is away from you. And the closer you get, the lower that percentage goes. When you're, halfway to the moon, you're only going to get something like 38 to 40% of the total surface, because you're too close to get the edges,
And he's taking this. So this area is sort of halfway, right? So it's basically, if you split the Earth in half, it would be that area kind of. So what we call a great circle, the widest part of the Earth, which I was talking about earlier, right? But he's not thinking in 3 dimensions, because although you see the front of it, when you get to here where India is, right, it's actually sideways. So you can actually see India there, kind of. It's very hard to see, because instead of looking directly on, like you'd be looking directly on here, it's instead, other side, it's instead around the side. So it's very hard to see that landmass because you're looking at it side on through cloud and atmosphere. So he's thinking, I should be able to see every continent on this circle, like just flat. And that's not how it's working. Everything curves inwards. So by the time you get to the very sides of this circle here, it's very hard to see because you're looking at it side on, not face on. So this is why he just doesn't understand 3-dimensional thinking. He just doesn't understand it. If you rotated it,
I dare say, of course, we can't demonstrate it. We haven't talked to every flat earther, but every flat earther we've been able to get deep enough into the questions with, they cannot think in 3D. It's just
Yeah.
It's not like a disability or anything. Like there's people who, if you say everybody thinks of things differently, right? You say visualize an apple. Some people get a full apple in 3D, full color with details and spots and a little leaf and a light dimple on it and all that stuff. Some people only see a 2D cartoon apple. Some people only see a black and white apple. The way people's brains process information varies from individual to individual. But there is a noticeable trend. 100% of flat earthers we have data for cannot think in 3 dimensions.
So I'm going to try and show with this little smiley face. I don't know if you can see that, right? And I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees where the great circle would be. That would be the widest point. So if I rotate, if I rotate it 90 degrees, hang on, where's the thing? So if I rotate it 90 degrees, see how you can't see it anymore? Like it just vanishes. And it's not because it's not there. It's really hard to see side on. As you can see, it gets like sort of smaller and smaller. And this is sort of the lack of 3-dimensional. So even at there, which isn't even 90 degrees, that's more about 80 or so, maybe 75. You can barely see it. That's how 3 dimensions work. Yeah, I didn't have a black marker. No, it's not a red smiley face. It's black pen, but I didn't have a marker. How dare you?
I'd lend you mine, but I don't have one either.
Yeah, it's enough to show that you're not going to see it flat when you move it round the curve. You're not going to, and you expect to, but you're stupid. Like, I'm sorry, you just are.
Where they faked the the big picture we had for years was Apollo 17. And Apollo 17, they said, they're at the moon 240,000 miles away. They can see the whole Earth. But look, they only got a picture of that little circle there. They didn't get the whole lit side of the Earth. So it proves that they weren't high enough to get it.
Of course they didn't. What are you talking about? I don't know what his point is. I don't understand. Like his thing is saying exactly what we should see. I don't get it.
That they faked it.
Finally, the element that seals everything.
Ow, Dean.
Yeah, you do realize that even after the sun sets, there's light around. You do realize that, don't you? Like after the sunset, it doesn't just the sun will set and instantly everything goes black. That isn't how it works. Like there's still light around, even, because it diffuses. You know when you're waiting for the sun come up and it's pitch black and then instantly just gets bright with,
Sunrises are very loud.
So what we're talking about is direct and indirect light. I had a video about this, how at one point, something like only 3% of the population was in sunlight or something like that. It's because sunlight diffuses that when we say, hey, these people are in light, like that diagram showed, it doesn't necessarily mean direct sunlight. If it would be direct sunlight, then yes, you've got a point, but it's not. It's anybody that has any light whatsoever. And the way they categorize light, there's 2 phases that sort of complete darkness and near darkness. To us, they look like exactly the same thing. Like we would just go, hey, that's night. But that's not how they classify it. So
this is where they think, I'm not even going to.
Yeah, the fisheye lenses. Sure.
I do love fisheyes.
He shows the picture footage. How many you want to see it? Y'all want to see it real quick? All right, I'll back up and show you. Just so you know you can't trust them. Here we go. I'll play it.
Finally, the element that seals everything. Of all the footage of Apollo 11 requested from NASA over a 5-year period, 1 gem was discovered just before the completion of this documentary. An old reel received by mistake. It contains the raw or unedited footage of the crew of Apollo 11, Michael Collins, Edwin Aldrin Jr., and Neil Armstrong, staging part of their mission for nearly an hour in living color, with exceptionally clear behind-the-scenes audio of conversations discussing the techniques used to achieve a disingenuous picture depicting the Earth at a distance in order to falsely demonstrate their
Yeah, there was no audio telling people how they faked the pictures. Like that just wasn't happening. They were just talking about how they were setting up the camera, and they had to close all the other ports because the sunlight would screw up the picture. That's what happens when you have light shining in from other places. You don't get a very good picture. So it wasn't them faking it was just them saying, hey, we're covering up the other portholes so the light doesn't expose it and ruin the picture. That's it.
Our journey from it, and their ability to survive passing through the Van Allen radiation belts. It cannot be misconstrued that this staging was done for some other reason prior to the mission.
This is it really at this point it does turn into the Flirter's Handbook. Austin Whitsitt could have put together this one. It's that bad. It's just awful. I mean, I don't know how much of this you want to go through. Maybe we can skip on to the other side and then to the end, which is the funny part.
Sure.
Because, well, Locke doesn't have that much to say that I really want to go through. He just preaches, and it's absolutely terrible. Like, I'm not even joking. He just quotes Bible verses. So I might skip over this horrible thing. And he sort of talks about the porthole. They're not setting it up. That's just shadow because the sun isn't directly behind them like it was in the Blue Marble shot. The sun's actually coming on this side. And they say, oh, they hung something to make it look like this was... No, they didn't. That's just the shadow.
Yeah, that's not possible. You can't have two things on the same focal plane, like this end of the window and this end of the window, and have this be out of focus and this... Well, you can with a tilt-shift lens, but that's not what they're using here, but that's neither here nor there. I'm much more interested in the Van Allen radiation belts, because flurfers love to say you can't go to space because of the Van Allen radiation belts. But here's the thing. If the Earth, if the flat Earth is real, there's no Van Allen radiation belts. And then you can't go to space. If the Earth is a globe, then why would the people perpetuating the globe lie say there were radiation belts that clearly can't be there because space is fake? Like, it's the same thing as we were pointing out earlier. Like, you can't trust anything they say.
Yeah.
And they say there's radiation belts. Like, why would they say that if they were lying? What the fuck, man?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this is the ISS. Yeah, they've got fisheyes on some of them. It's not, but some of them aren't. That's the thing. Like, you can't just show some fisheye lenses and say everything is fisheye. So he goes through a whole bunch of this stuff. Water always finds its level, that kind of crap. But yeah, it's the Bible quotes, and it really is just flat Earth nonsense. Like, really. Yeah.
Also, on fisheyes, we can correct for fisheye distortion. You can put it into Photoshop, tell it it's a fisheye, and it'll flatten it out. Sure. If you correct for the curvature of the Earth on any space photo, everything else gets so distorted. It's incredible.
I just love that he started with the Apple iPhone Blue Marble thing. I just love that he started with something that bad. Like, that is horrible. That is the worst thing ever. And it doesn't get much better. And these Bible quotes are all through it. Yeah. So he sort of just has a marvelous sort of flat Earth package. Just sort of, the usual easily debunked stuff. But let's get on to Locke, because this guy apparently is an absolute scumbag, which I did not know.
Start right off the reel with the word of the Lord, and then just kind of go down through some very important aspects.
And we don't have to listen to this for that long, because so the reason why I want to show this, and here's the reason why I want to show it, it's what not to do in a debate. Because, and here's going to be something very controversial and horrible, and I'm really sorry to have to say this, Odle won this debate. He definitely did. He had a presentation. He had something to present. This guy does nothing but preach. It's terrible.
It's interesting to me how people are divided on this. You can really see the bias in people. They're like, oh, Locke clearly won because he brought the facts. I'm like, well, hold on. You're saying Locke won because you agree with him, but did you look at how they argued? Like, by now, it's no spoiler alert to say how this ended. And everybody's like, oh, well, you know, Odle threw the microphone at him. That's instant loss. No, Greg shut his opponent's microphone off. That's instant loss.
Well, I don't know about instant losses. I think they were sort of both as bad as one another as far as sort of petty.
Oh, yeah, both
squabbling
juvenile.
goes. Yeah, both juvenile. But it's more that Odle presented something. He had a presentation. He had some incorrect things to present, but he was presenting them like you would in a debate. Right? These are facts that I have that support my case. Now, a lot of them weren't facts. A lot of them were untrue. A lot of them were wrong. There's a difference between that and just out and out preaching, which is what Locke's going to do. He doesn't reference at all why we know the Earth is a globe. Doesn't have any science behind them at all. He basically just says, Bible says it so. And that's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to turn to the Bible. And I mean, maybe it is because he's a preacher, but we don't need the Bible to show that the Earth's round. That's the shape that it is, because that's what all the facts say it is.
Important aspects of what I believe the Bible teaches. Psalm 8 and verse 1, the Bible says, O Lord, our Lord, how excellent is thy name in all the earth, who has set thy glory above the heavens. Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings hast thou ordained strength. And the Bible says, because he's ordained strength, he says unto the people that he steals. He stops the avenger. He stops those that come against him. And then he makes a very interesting declaration in Psalm chapter 8. He begins to talk about the fact that because God made everything the way that he did, because the world has been absolutely made by God. I read just today, as a matter of fact, this right here. He says, when I consider your heavens, the works of your fingers, the moon and stars, which thou hast ordained. He said the finger work, the finger painting, like a little kindergartner, the finger painting of God is indeed the heavens, the firmament, the moon, he says, and the stars. It took nothing for God to make that. But then he asked this question: what is man that thou art even mindful of him, or the son of man that thou visitest him? So here's the two different directions that we're going. I get enclosed dome, all of that. We'll talk about that. But listen, my idea is not just talk about the expanse, because firmament clearly means heaven. It's what the Bible says. I don't believe it means expanse. It means heaven. It's what the Bible says. But I so believe in the expansiveness of God that David looked up and he saw all the things that the Lord had created. He saw all the unbelievable things in creation and said, holy smokes, who am I? What is man that you are even mindful?
Yeah, me, I get you. MC Toon, he's really good. He doesn't use his Christianity to disprove flat Earth. That's the thing. Like, he doesn't just say, "Hey, Bible says this." He will go to the science and what we know for sure. He doesn't let his religion dictate what the science says, and I respect him for that. You know,
Yeah,
I respect
because
MC.
he knows once you go to a holy book, it's open season. Like anybody, as Greg said earlier, anybody can make dead men say anything.
Yeah.
You are even mindful of me. Why would you even think about me amongst so many unbelievable things that you...
So you see what's happening here? We've got two men both appealing to emotion, right? Both appealing to faith is what's happening here. So they're both preaching, and preaching, it's meant to appeal to emotion. It's meant to get your emotions riled up. So this is the problem. And he goes on
creation. I don't believe in a Big Bang Theory. I don't believe in millions of years. I believe in 6 literal days of creation. I don't believe in any of that. I don't believe that we're from monkeys. I don't believe any of that stuff. Okay, all of that's nonsense. We know that that is evil. We know that that is wrong. That is science, falsely so-called. That is Romans chapter 1, suppressing the truth. And the man of God said that. I get all of that. And so really, at the end of the day...
See, that's what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I don't believe in this science. I don't believe in that science. I don't believe in that science. Yeah. Frankly, I am amazed he does believe in a globe.
Oh, he is one biblical passage away from believing in a flat earth. Like, all he has to do is just swallow that. Look, I'm glad he hasn't fallen that far down the rabbit hole, but dude, you're knocking on the door of that rabbit hole and asking permission. Like, your critical thinking is terrible. It's terrible.
I mean, well, I think as a decent person, Locke is probably beyond redemption. But there is a chance of a chance of a chance that he will take that seed of neural function that is his knowledge that the Earth is a globe and start to apply it to other things. Like, okay, flat Earth is nonsense. How do we know? Because facts.
Yes.
What if we actually start to accept the facts about other things are also factual, and it starts to spread, and then he realizes, holy shit, There was no flood. Holy shit. There couldn't have been a 7-day creation.
Right.
Oh my God, the Bible is full of metaphors. All of this crap I've been believing in is just fucking fables and shit. And, you know,
Well, he can still believe it. Like, just it's metaphor and sort of poetic language. That's fine. I can accept that. But somebody that can't accept what we know to be true about the universe is just, you know, I don't know. The question comes, why should we believe your book and not like the Bhagavad Gita or something? Like, why should we believe anything? Because Shiva, the creator and destroyer, could have done it just as easily.
I mean, Odin. There's a pretty clear account of how Odin made the universe. And also, there's no frost giants, which is
universe.
Strong evidence for Odin. It's you know, there's a bunch of that shit. But what really gets me is that the reason Greg believes all these things, that there is no evolution, that there is a literal 6-day creation, those two are tied tight. Yeah. They're the same thing, actually, in his book. Is because he considers the Bible to be literal. Yet he goes on a tear about how flat Earth is wrong because the Bible's chock full of metaphor. Like, Greg, you're championing the fact that there's metaphor in this thing. So why are you taking the stupid shit literally? I don't understand.
Creation, but not really a lot of talk about yay or nay about flat Earth. We believe in creation. Just because I believe in a model that is different than yours, which I believe is biblical, does not mean that I'm an evolutionist. I don't believe in evolution.
You need a crowd. Oh, come on. Like, just because I'm not a flat earther doesn't mean I'm not a dirty evolutionist. Why do I feel like he's desperately trying to save his audience from turning on him? You know, like, I don't know. You've lost them, Greg. Like, this is.
Yeah. He's not making points anymore. He's saying, "Don't hate me. I'm still a batshit crazy moron like the rest of you."
Yeah. I'm still crazy. I'm still fundy. I'm still a fundy. Don't hate me.
Evolution. I don't believe that science is greater than the Bible, because the Bible's not a science book, but it's scientifically accurate. You understand? It's not a math book, but it's mathematically accurate. And
is it?
Is it?
What was he saying earlier about he wants pilots who believe in the globe so that, you know, you'll actually arrive where... What do you suppose would happen if we tried to build bridges based on the math in the Bible? I'd be concerned.
Great. I'd be very concerned.
To begin the debate with really what I would consider a straw man argument of it's about creation. Yeah, of course it's about creation. We don't disagree on creation. We don't even disagree on the way that God did creation. We know in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was void and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, and God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Nobody in this room, unless you're lost, would deny the reality of that.
So, yeah, and just think for a moment. Just sit down and go, when have you seen somebody do this in a debate? Right? Like, is this a debate introduction? Because it doesn't say, and neither did the other guys. This is preaching. You know, this isn't what you would see in a debate where you have a structured arguments. You know, not even apologists do this. Some of them fall back on it. Like, you know, some of them fall back into this just declaring these things. But usually you've got arguments in a debate. Like, this is the truth, and this is why we believe it. This is what adds to the credibility of it. This is the supporting evidence I have for it, or the supporting arguments I have for it. You know, we have this, you know, you've done debate, I've done debate. It always is this very structured set of arguments to why your position is correct over the other one. But this isn't that. It's very, very preaching, which is just saying, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. I mean, even flat earthers like Whitsett, that they do have arguments. You know, I'm not going to say that they don't. They will they won't just preach and say, hey, you know, because of, you know, the heavens declare the glory of God, that's how we know the earth is flat. They might mention it, but most of their thing is, oh, we don't see as far as we should. That lends to it. This, you know, so on and so forth. I'm just saying, this isn't a debate. I don't know what this is. This is This is an argument between preachers in a church.
Who can out-preach the other?
Right,
Who can cite
right.
more Bible verse? Because that's how we decide what reality is, you know?
Right. But it's this appeal to the audience's emotion. That's what they're doing. They're performing to the audience to see who's got the God, the God gift kind of thing. Who can stoke them up and more emotionally. And it's weird to see because
I see. Who has more of the Holy Spirit, because that determines
maybe,
righteousness, if not rightness.
Right. So, it's kind of weird that we see debates that are based upon rationality and argumentation. And then there's this, and it's strange to see. It's like somebody wants to play a game of tennis and they start, making out with their opponent. It's like, I'm not sure you're doing it right. You're doing something, but I don't think it's achieving what you're trying to achieve. Like, what are you doing? It's just weird to see. Maybe that's not a good analogy. I'm not sure. And thank you, Doc Dino, for $5 American. Arguing with Greg here feels like the meme with Legolas and Gimli. But here, after Gimli says, I could do that, he steps on his axe. Big flop. I'm not sure what that scene is. Do you remember that scene?
Legolas and Gimli is like their whole thing is I've got, 7 orcs, well, I've got 8 orcs, something like that. But I mean,
no, I think it's the part
there's a
where
long
he said,
movie.
Like, do you think you could fight alongside an elf or something? And he says, how about alongside a friend?
Oh, that could be.
And he goes, I could do that. And then he steps on his axe. And it rises up and hits him in the face like a rake. I think that's what Doc's trying to paint there. And then correct me if I'm wrong, Doc. Just at me if I'm wrong. But I think that's what he's trying to paint there. Yeah, no, I agree with Locke, but
you're right.
I think he lost the debate. I really do think he lost this debate at this point, just preaching like a nutter.
Yeah, you were right. I found another version of it.
There you go.
It's Gimli's helmet has the big Xbox symbol on it.
Do you want to show it? Do you want to show it?
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, let's show it. Let's show. Let's
share. And
oh, thank you, Amber.
Your
the co-hostess with the mostest.
Yeah, so he's got the Xbox thing. Never thought I'd be fighting side by side with a PlayStation. What about side by side with a friend? I could do that. PCs.
Yes. All hail the PC master race. That's a joke. I don't actually believe that, by the way. That's a joke. That is a joke.
Fighting creation. We're fighting, let me just use the word cosmology, right? We're fighting the shape of the earth. Okay? So I'm going to get to the Bible. But it's interesting because so many times people say, well, this is what all of the early believers believed. The notion that if you could somehow get to what they refer to as the edges of the earth, when you go through one side, like Pac-Man, you come back in the opposite side. Now we've gone into science fiction realm. Okay, now we've gone far beyond the reality of the Bible. And then they're like, well, that's just how things operate in space. Well, you don't believe in space, so you don't get that argument, you understand, right? And so the Bible is
it's not how things operate in space either.
So, no, it's not at all in any way, shape, or form.
Do we get power pills and we can? That's how we see ghosties.
It's the Holy Ghost.
Oh,
nice.
And so, let me say this. In Acts chapter 17 and verse 26, the Bible says, we are all men made of one blood, for to dwell on all the face of the earth. The times are appointed, and here's what God says. And he hath given us the bounds of our habitation. That's why I don't believe in aliens. We agree with that, right? I don't believe in E.T. and little green men. I do believe that is going to be a last stage deception, that they are going to say, oh, look what the aliens can. Ain't no aliens. You believe in that nonsense, you need to quit smoking meth. Okay, there's no such thing as that. But I want you to understand that at the end of the day, right here according to the Bible, he bound our habitation. My question is, why does he have to specifically tell us that our habitation to earth has been bound? Because the other planets, yes, I believe in them, that he created are not habitable. They were just built because the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament, the heaven, show it his handiwork.
So this is not a debate introduction. This is not what you think it is.
So, all the other planets. All the other planets, not just the ones here in our solar system, but all these exoplanets we're finding. All you know, the planets around they're all just completely uninhabitable. They're there for no reason, just to show the Earth is more special, or even though we'll never, ever go there.
Well, now you know God's serious, okay? He's willing to create a ton of planets for no reason whatsoever, just because he can. Now you know something. I don't know what you know. Look, I don't know where I was going with this. I've got no idea why anybody knows. Nobody knows. I mean, why even make them if you put a frigging dome over the Earth so we can't go anywhere? It's not like we're going anywhere, right? Why even make them? What's the point?
His handiwork, and the handiwork, according to what the Bible just said in Psalm chapter number 8, that David was so mesmerized by, the handiwork was the moon and the stars and all that God created. We have been bound to inhabit only the earth. Controversy that has been reached because of things like Left Behind, movies and books, and teaching about a secret rapture. So neither one of us teach it, but neither one of us would get up and say, well, you can't really be born again because you came around in a false theological system. No, they can get born again. So it's interesting that you can use a wrong model, but get right results, because the results are based on the gospel, not on the model. You understand? Does that make sense? I hope it does. You know, Moses got water out of the rock both times. But one time was right and one time was wrong, right? And so understand that I'm not against the fact that people get saved.
Now, keep in mind, this guy is arguing for the globe Earth. Just keep that in mind.
I feel underrepresented.
Yeah, same here. Same here. This is not what you would expect at all. I have issues.
That people get saved. I'm glad people get back in church because of conspiracy theories that led them to flat earth. I am great with that. I'm not against that. Okay, there are people in this room, for example, that are glaringly 1,000% different from me. But if we weren't necessarily having this conversation, I think we'd get along. I think me and Flat Earth Day could go 14, all right? Job 38, 12 through 14. Now, I did read the book, not all of it, not verbatim, not word for word. I did like chapter 6 because it had a lot to talk about.
I love this part.
Of people that are being saved, that have been saved. Now, let me read through this, right? Here is the clay under the seal analogy that he uses. I don't attack that because I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not real interested in the whole smash down, in the whole stamp down, in the whole upturned sides. And I'm not interested in it from this passage because this is not at all what that passage has anything to do with. Okay? I want to show you. Now, I know it's on the screens there, but sometimes I like to turn to a certain place in the Bible. Hast thou commanded the morning since thy days? Now, again, he was correct. Okay? Job is being rebuked by the Lord harshly. Things are happening in this context. God's asking him 84 questions that are basically unanswerable. And so he says, look, have you commanded the morning since thy days? No, you haven't commanded the morning, okay, because we don't get to do that. But watch this. And caused the day spring to know his place. Well, what's the day spring? Well, the day spring is just a King James word for the sunrise. And we know later in the context that Jesus is called the day spring, right? And so understand, he's simply talking about an analogy of the sun right here. He says plainly, it is this, not the day spring. Don't hey guys, don't move them things back there because I don't know my Bible until
This is just stupid. I feel dumber having listened to this. I feel like I feel like I want to convert to flat Earth listening to this, quite frankly, because it is just dumb. Like
on so many levels, on so many
like
flat and levels.
Oh, like Eratosthenes, like our scientific instruments. There's so many ways to show that the Earth is a globe, and you've chosen the Bible says stuff. I mean, I get why you're saying it, but holy crap. Seriously.
But it gets better. He said at the beginning of this passage, I haven't read the whole book. I haven't read all of this, but I do like chapter 6. I am the greatest preacher of all time, but I haven't read the whole book.
Yeah, we don't.
What?
Come
on. What?
Until I go to the next fucking real. So you cause the day spring, the sunrise, to know his place. It's obvious he's talking about the sunrise. Now watch this. That, it. Everybody see that word, it? Oh, you're going to get quiet now that I brought the Bible out. What's the word it referring to? The subject, which is the day spring.
It's he in your version, right?
Yeah.
But, heaven forbid you read your fucking Bible that you're using as your entire proof for your case. No, we can't have that.
This doesn't prove it one way or the other, that it might take hold of the ends of the earth, that the wicked might be shaken out of it. How does that get you to a globe or flat Earth? It doesn't.
I like to think of it as like a taco, kind of like it's a tortilla, and you pick it
Right.
up and you shaky, and all the cheese goes into the middle. Something like that.
I like those soft taco boats. I don't know what they're called. We just call them taco boats, and they're like a soft taco, but they're like flat on the bottom, so you can they're like a little bowl that's made out of soft taco, and you can just shove stuff in it and then cram it in your mouth. It's so good.
Sounds neat.
We just call them taco boats. I don't know what they're called. Anyone know what those things are called? Are they called taco boats?
I don't know. If we have them here, they're not in stores near me. Our flat bottom tacos are just like hard shells, but they have like a flat side at the bottom of the curve instead of being full parabolas.
No, they're mini tortilla boats, apparently. I don't know. They're great. Love them. They're fantastic.
Tortillas are a fantastic invention, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But they're just little, like, bathtubs kind of thing, and you just shove stuff in them, and they're just little tortillas that, like, look like boats. I don't know. We call them taco boats. Just leave me alone, all right? I'm Australian. We say weird things. You're going to have to accept this.
No, it sounds cool to me.
No, they're not hard shell. They're soft shell. Soft tacos.
Quit changing in passages back here. Go back to verse number 12
Look,
again.
just look up taco boat or tortilla boat, okay? Just don't at me. Just look it up. Do your own research. Frigging Globers. Oh, I hate this guy. I'm sick of listening to this guy. You sick of this guy? I'm sick of him already, quite frankly.
Greg doesn't take long.
He said nothing. He's just said Bible. But the other guy said Bible too. So you're just having a pastor off. Like whoever can just be the most God-reigned. It's so dumb.
Verse number 12 again. Hast thou commanded the earth that you could not see its contours and curvature or whatever you want to call it before that? And so just as the sun brings reality to what we could not see, so when a ring is dipped into the wax, all of a sudden the wax fills up the crack. There's only one thing he is talking about, and it is the revelation that sunlight brings when the sun rises in the morning. Now, wait a minute. Is there anybody in the room that would say, that's theological gymnastics, because it's not talking about the day spring? Is it talking about the sunrise, yes or no? It's only talking about the sunrise.
Yeah, and the audience is like, yeah.
They're laughing at him.
Participation from the audience is usually not involved in a debate, Greg. You've got to understand this. Like, you're not sitting there going, this is called grandstanding usually, when you're like trying to involve the audience in what you're actually arguing. And people do a bit of grandstanding. I've done a bit of grandstanding in my past, but like you are just preaching. You're trying to say to the audience, do you feel it so, brothers and sisters? Is the earth flat? Hey. Come on, dude.
And as the sun rises, it sheds light on things we could not see, just as wax has no form until you dip something in it that has form, and it conforms to it, and now you can clearly see it. And by the way, that happened in the very first chapter of the Bible, because when darkness was upon the face of the deep, God said, let there be light, and guess what? The light shed abroad the contour of what God was creating. This verse is not about cosmology. I'm sorry. Now, it may be a cute verse to use and talk about that.
He's wicked overcomplicating this. Like,
yeah,
all he really has to do is say, Dean, you are saying all this stuff, whenever it talks about this kind of crap, it is being literal. Cool. Sunrise. It is saying the sun literally rises, not gets closer, not appears, comes into perspective. It says it rises. You lose. Done.
Yeah. And if you want to take it literally, then it also says that there's four corners of the earth.
Yeah, show me the corners. It should be easy.
Right.
We have photoshopped photos of the whole. Show me the fucking corners. Show me the pillars. I would love to see pillars. That would be cool. Especially when there's that other verse that Dean also quoted. We skipped over it, but it's in his presentation, where he talks about the earth hanging on nothing. Wait, I thought it was on pillars. What's going on here?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, you have to say, well, some things can't be taken literally, right? They just can't be taken literally of the Bible, especially things like Psalms that he was quoting before. Psalms is poetry. It's not meant to be taken literally, right? It just isn't. You cannot take that literally. So I did a while back have a few verses like in the Bible that if you took them literally, it would be absurd. And definitely the corners of the earth is one of them, but there's another couple that it sounds ridiculous if you take it literally. You can't. So that's probably where I'd go. But I'm kind of over this because that's what he does. He just preaches. Now, for context, Greg doesn't get to finish his whatever this is because it could only charitably be called an introduction to a debate, and it's after the discussion. So who knows how the hell they got to this point? But he basically starts asking Odle things, right? He starts asking, was his name Dean Odle? Mm-hmm. He starts asking him stuff, and they get into a bit of a discussion. And this is where, if you've managed to sit through the nonsense that we've seen, this is where it turns beautiful. Are you ready, Amber? Are you ready?
Yeah.
And these are the definitive doctrinal verses for flat Earth. Do you have any more? Oh, I got these listed.
And you can hear the audience back. Yeah, it's the lead. What am I looking at? This isn't a debate. It's a debacle.
I have here a list of names. These are the 500 witnesses Paul was talking about, or something.
My list is bigger than yours, Ember.
Oh, I got these listed. Got all the verses. We already dealt with some of the verses that Dean gave. Every single one of them. You need to say something. Oh, yeah, go ahead. You got the mic. Just go ahead. Let me finish my verse. Go ahead.
I just want to say
good work, moderator. Good work. Yeah.
About that list and about Nathan Roberts. Okay.
And I'm not saying you're affiliated with him.
No. No. All right. Shh. Let me. Just a second. I just want to say this about Nathan Roberts. Okay. What you're doing with that list there, you're debating Nathan Roberts, not us.
No.
Okay. Hold on.
I'm telling you the Bible.
So I think Nathan Roberts is one of the shills he was talking about earlier, one of the other flat earthers that they don't agree with, kind of thing. So he's gotten a list from this guy, and so now they're arguing whether this is the doctrines. So it just gets even dumber.
Those poor flat earthers, they're just trying to spread the truth, and yet those damn NASA globers keep sending sleeper agents to penetrate and then conduct experiments and make flat earth look stupid. Totally undermining the biblical truth.
And here's how I know that. Because when I discredit,
let me finish my saying about Nathan, okay?
But I'm not worried about Nathan.
No, but you've been debating his list. Let me say what I can say about his list. I have never posted his list because I don't agree that all of the verses refer to.
I don't believe that you agree.
What is this camera angle?
Some of them refer. He says flat Earth.
I don't know. I presume it's one maybe for the band.
Who set up that GoPro?
I have no idea. Come on, it's action packed. Action packed
for sure.
He says flat Earth, but he's talking about this cosmology in general. But listen, Nathan Roberts was a young believer who I had to correct and rebuke and
he rebuked him. Yeah, I just love it when I get a good rebuking. That's just my favorite thing. It's rebuke.
Makes me feel alive.
Yeah.
Very young believer. He was wrong about a lot of things, and he has since disappeared. Now, if you want to debate him,
I know he since disappeared, but here's the deal: these verses have so infiltrated the movement, whether you wrote them or not. That's why when I contextually disprove them, the crowd shouts at me, and they're mad.
Well, hear what I'm saying, though.
I hear what you're saying.
Hear what I'm saying is Nathan Roberts is not the issue. And we don't agree with a lot of scriptures that's on his list that he took them out of context and they don't apply. So using his list is not debating me, it's debating him.
Absolutely. But the question is, how many verses do you have for flat Earth? How many? No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He only dealt with the firmament. There were no verses that he used on flat. No.
Yeah, he only did the firmament. We all heard him. I couldn't give a shit about what the Bible has got to say about the firmament. Couldn't care less. Couldn't care less. I think that it's irrelevant.
He used on flat. Not one.
Yes, I did.
Not only.
Sorry, do you have something to add?
Yeah, technically, Dean did actually address the ground itself. He went through a couple Bible verses where It talked about, two armies setting up their tents on ground. And Dean did his translation shopping thing until he got it to say they set up their tents upon the flat earth. In the context of the verse, it was just they were on a level piece of ground, but Dean's like, oh no, the whole earth is flat,
Yeah, I think
but
that's a stretch,
technically he did do some verses that weren't the firmament, that were about the ground.
Right.
I did.
Not only the clay, and I explained that with sunrise.
No. You didn't deal with the other verses. I pulled from Isaiah and Psalms. You didn't deal with that. But I was going to say in my rebuttal, do I still get a rebuttal?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, we're not going to be able to go all night, but yeah, go ahead and start doing a rebuttal right now. Be all right. I got so much to say these verses. There's tons of these verses. I got pages of my own notes. Pages.
Oh, I bet you do have pages of your own notes. Why aren't you using them? Like, seriously, come on now.
Amen. All right. I'm going to try to be brief here. And you said, and I'm going to hold you to your word. You said that I could bring anybody I wanted. So I'm going to call up a couple of people to answer some things. Austin and
is
Euler.
that Austin Whitsitt?
He is not.
Is that?
I don't know.
Austin Whitsitt? I would love it if that's Austin Whitsitt who gets up there and has to support this jackass. Like, seriously, that would be hilarious. I would love that so much. Just for your all information, Austin Whitsitt won't debate me anymore. He refuses to debate me. He will not step in a ring, which is so disappointing. And just, he's a real tough guy when he's sort of saying, oh, I'll take on anybody, but he really is not. I think that he won't debate Leo anymore for the same reason, because Leo absolutely kicked his ass last time. Whitsitt is absolutely terrible. He basically he looks for people that are new to the debate scene, but sort of stamps around saying that he can take on anybody. So, I don't have a lot of respect for him, mostly because he offered a debate on evolution, and that's one of the subjects I really like, in the middle of the flat earth debate. And I accepted straight away because Whitsitt's terrible at flat earth and he's worse at anything else. So I accept it immediately, and he just goes, no, I'll think about it. I won't do it, kind of thing. It's like, wow, what an absolute debate, bro. But somebody that when get called out, he just doesn't do anything. Yeah. I'd love it if it was Whitsitt.
I can't find anything to confirm whether he was there or not, because all I'm getting is Whitsitt versus Leo, Whitsitt versus Mark Reed, and Whitsitt versus United States.
Oh, yeah. I'm amazed the security didn't arrest him. That's what they usually do when they find Whitsitt just about anywhere, including Mount Rushmore, I believe, which was, if you haven't seen that, that's hilarious, seeing Austin Whitsitt. Like, being given every opportunity by National Park Security to just not be where he is, doing what he is, being offered every opportunity under the sun to do something else. And he was there, he live streamed it, says Tinkerfield. So that was probably Austin Whitsitt. Oh, Austin, do you ever change?
And we'll let you come up and answer a couple of things that you said. But let me address just a few things in what Pastor Greg just showed. I'm going to show you some things. Now, first of all, I want to say this. And let me go back to my notes here that I made while you were speaking. First of all, you say you're okay with us believing flat earth. Then you say that it's end-time deception. Then you talk about you don't want to insult people, but then you say things like, you make God a liar if you believe flat earth. So I don't see how that you called us clowns.
I didn't say that, Mike.
No, but you said it through this whole thing. So what I'm saying is that the people out here that are getting a little upset with you is because you're the way that you insult people.
No, wait.
Greg being a hypocrite? I'm shocked.
Oh, look, I think he did probably use some insulting terms. Preachers usually do when they're up there flinging their, these fire and brimstone preachers. They always lapse into this, you're a whatever if you believe this or believe that. Yeah, absolutely. But they were both doing it. That's the thing. Like, it's not like one's better than the other. They were both doing it. Like, they're both calling each other's things nonsense and stuff. Like, come on.
Yes, you most certainly did say that. Absolutely. Don't you shut me down in my own church.
Listen to me. I never said, and this is a fact.
Absolutely.
I've preached this for years. Don't interrupt. I have said for years, you do not have to believe in flat earth biblical cosmology to be a born again Christian. I have never made that an issue.
We'll rewind the video tonight when we're done. When you said that we're not biblical Christians if we do not adhere to the flat earth law.
When you used to speak out against tongues and deliverance, you were not a biblical Christian in that area.
And guess what? Tongues is a gift of the Holy Spirit. Flat earth is not a gift of the
Did he speak out against tongues?
He I don't fucking know. I'm
Who
just
knows?
reminded. So I was watching Neil the 604 Atheist,
Yeah.
do his deconversion story show earlier before our stream started, and
Mhm.
they had on a former Pentecostal, and they were talking about speaking in tongues, and it just reminded me of when I was little, my grandma would bring me to different churches, and I was one of those kids that asked questions, so we kept getting asked to not come
Uh-oh.
back. So we'd have to try
Uh-oh.
another church and try another church and
Yeah.
so on. And when we got to the Pentecostals, we had to go all the way to Syracuse. It was a 45-minute drive from where I lived at the time. But we tried the Pentecostals. When they started speaking in tongues, little child me, I was maybe 4 years old, I noted that my mother had just gotten me to stop talking like that, and perhaps she could help them too. And we were asked to leave.
Believe, yeah.
Earth is not a gift of the Holy Spirit.
It's in the Bible.
What a heretical bunch of nonsense.
Do I get to do my rebuttal without you interrupting me or not?
Quit asking me questions if you don't want me to rebuttal back.
You said you would speak and I would do a rebuttal.
Yeah.
Let me have
Fight! This is ridiculous.
Don't ask me questions if you don't want me to rebuttal back.
A rebuttal back, yes. Don't make me rebuttal you, Ember. Don't make me rebuttal you.
I'm going to rebuttal all over the stage.
Don't ask me questions. I'll be forced to rebuttal your ass.
And the body language is fantastic too. I don't know if you've ever been around farm animals, but this is exactly what roosters do when they're about to fight over who gets to be with the hens. It's exactly the same body language, like I'm a big chicken.
Yep. It's 2 men enter, 1 man leave, and that man gets the congregation. Your ministry's on the
your
line.
church.
Your ministry's in the line. Make yourself look big, Greg.
Yeah.
Let me
I was still speaking, but I've been nice enough to let you jump up and rebuttal.
Let me finish.
So
let me
rebuttal.
actually give one without interrupting.
Then don't ask me a question. That's the whole point.
We did this.
That's not the whole point. Like, this is not a debate. This is something weird. Why is this so weird? But this is what happens when you get two people both have these faith-based beliefs that are absolutely tied to emotion, right? You can't, like, all they're doing is just appealing to the audience and their own emotion. It's ridiculous.
We did this a minute ago where we asked questions and you let me speak and I let you speak. I didn't say
And that's what we're doing.
I didn't say a word.
So give your rebuttal.
So I'm going to give it. All right. First of all, let's say this. And by the way, I'm just going to add this in. You know,
First of all, you've already said 4 things. You've already said 4 things. Why?
Maybe it's a countdown. 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st.
You're not wrong, Phil. You're not wrong. It is like a Discord conversation. You're absolutely right. Yes.
You muted me on my own server.
Yeah. It's my church.
You know, when we came this weekend, I was hoping that things would stay sweet and nice between us, but it's not the case.
But you're Christian brothers. Why do you need a moderator? This is what the moderator's for, my man. My guy, you gotta have a moderator. Even if you think you're gonna get along, you gotta have a moderator. Just have one in the back, like a spare you can pull out if you need it. You know, if one tire goes down, you've got something to replace. Oh boy. Mm-hmm. Oh boy.
Not the case. And so what I did was I rented a room at the Marriott for tomorrow morning if anybody wants to come have church at Fire and Grace Church.
Absolutely.
Because I'm not going to sit here under this kind of belligerent attacks and calling people names and stuff like that. I'm just not going to. I can't.
He's stealing your ministry. Stop him, Greg.
Mm-hmm. He's here to poach your parishioners.
Yep. Think of the donations. Fight.
Him and his bald-headed sexiness. He's gonna lead your people astray.
Look, it's always the bold ones you got to watch out for. It's always
true.
They'll steal your heart and your minds. Like, this guy's just poaching his audience, and he obviously knew it was going to go downhill because he already rented it out. He rented this thing at the Marriott in order to do this. Mm-hmm. Oh boy, this is
planned it out the whole time.
Oh yeah,
but you know, Greg has a cattle rancher.
Oh, does he? Wow.
I can't come back here because of.
Okay.
All right,
But you can do it, but I can't be abrasive, and because then that hurts everybody's feelings. That's okay. I get it. I get it. I get it.
Has anybody? I've never called you a clown. You called when you got up talking about this a few weeks ago. You said,
Hey, quit saying a few weeks ago. That's the first time I ever even mentioned it. I'm talking about tonight.
tonight you have been insulted.
Yes. I think you're losing them, Greg. You're losing them. Rooster up.
He
How
needs
about
to
your
be.
chest?
He needs to be cockier.
Yeah, swing that dick. I could do something. Greg. It's weird that I'm rooting for the flat earther. Hey, what is going on with my life? This is the weirdest thing I've ever done. Holy crap. Somebody
Religion
save me.
takes you to weird places, man.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to keep it nice. And listen, let me say this very clearly.
You told me that I was involved in a deception.
You are.
And then when I say it,
You
you're like,
are. You're a deceptive piece of crap. What? That's not insulting. It's just the truth.
oh my
No,
goodness,
that's fine.
my
That's
feelings are
fine.
hurt.
We believe each other's deceived, and that's fine. But when you say moronic, idiotic, when you start going down,
I didn't call you or anybody that. I said we attack ideologies. And as far as I'm concerned, the ideology is moronic.
All right, let me show you where you were. This is the kind of stuff. He said he started this out in Hebrews 11:3. I took a little note here. It says, "Through faith, we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so the things which are seen are not made of the things which appear." Now, his argument was the term worlds here means the planets, the solar system. The word here, if he looked it up in the Greek dictionary, find out it doesn't mean anything like that. In fact, the word is the Greek word.
So now he's going to the Greek, not the Hebrew, because that's
See what I mean?
Yeah,
He goes wherever he needs to get what he wants.
Yep.
Which means ages or time periods, not planets. So that you just did with that verse is deception and error.
Well, then explain the two verses that I used that led into that verse, because they did prove that we are the only habitable planet amongst many.
No. Well, first of all, the word planet does not exist. It's used one time in the King James Version, and that's a mistranslation because the actual...
It's always a mistranslation when it doesn't fit your side. It's always a mistranslation.
The actual Hebrew word is...
I'm sorry, so the King James Bible is wrong then?
There's errors in the inerrant book of God? Yeah. Where's that button?
And the KJV...
Damn it, it hung up again.
Well, the KJV as well.
Emotional, damn it! Emotional!
Hebrew word is mazalah, which means constellations, not planets. And that's a fact.
And that's not a fact.
Then you're deceived. Right?
If me being deceived means I believe in a spherical earth, I'm deceived, and you can just go ahead and leave and cancel this debate right now, because you're not going to convince me what the Bible clearly says. The earth is not flat, 1,000%. And if I got people in our church that think it is, that's great. I love you. But if you want to go to his little service in the morning, then go to his service in the morning. It's not going to bother me one bit. The earth is not flat. It was disproven 2,500 years ago. You can't show me one verse in the Bible that proves that the earth is flat. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. We're not going to get anywhere else, because here's the problem. You use 2 hours of PowerPoint presentation, and your people are quiet. I use an hour.
Yeah, his introduction was 2 hours. Like, what debate is there an introduction that's 2 hours?
Just
That's
the introduction.
crazy. Yeah, and then he wants a rebuttal to the hour something that the other guy had. How long do you think that rebuttal's going to be? And then he gets a rebuttal. But you can't have a discussion because you already had that at the start. What's going on here? This is crazy. I've never seen anything like this. This is new territory for me. Maybe I'm just a babe in the woods and I don't know how real debates go, but this is something else. Like, seriously.
It's even better though, because he sped through his introduction. He's, we're going to skip over this part and we're only going to do part of this part. He's like Kent Hovind with the 900 slides,
Yeah. I think it's 9,000 or something. It's ridiculous.
It's over 9,000.
Over 9,000.
It's of the Bible, and they get mad and start throwing laters and taters at me. Okay.
All right,
So
here's the deal. Let me just say this. Now, I'm walking out now. But I want to say this. Oh, listen, your folks are standing up yelling, "Go, get out." Okay, you know what? That's fine with me. Here's the deal. I gave you the scriptures. He gave you his version.
it's always somebody else's version.
Hold on. No.
This is nonsense.
You came up with your scriptures and gave your interpretation of them. I gave mine.
I gave you the Bible
I
interpretation.
gave you the Bible. I gave more Bible than you did.
My Bible, but never mind.
I've got to clip that. I gave more Bible than you did. But my Bible is bigger, and I gave more. My Bible is huge.
I've got
What are we
so
watching?
many Bibles. The best Bibles.
Bibles. Bibles. I love it when you give so much Bible. Is this Christian porn right now? Is that what this is? Is this how it goes?
Oh,
Honey,
this
I need
so
some
this is how
Bible.
the channel gets taken down.
I right. This is how it all ends. I'm sorry. Thanks for tuning in to the last episode of Debate Dissection ever.
More Bible than you did, for a fact, right there. All right.
Oh, really?
That's a fact.
Well, I'll tell you what. How about in your rebuttal, I'll keep my mouth shut and you tell me how wrong I was about your misapplication of the ring stabbing in Job chapter 38.
First of all,
Hello? Is it sunrise or not?
No, not at all. I don't agree with
Turn
you.
his mic off. Get out.
Wow.
You're a Bible denier. You're a Bible denier. You're a Bible denier. That is ridiculous. Bible denier. Just get out. Get the band up here. Woo! Let's worship the Lord. I ain't putting up this nonsense. So I gave you art.
Get the man some music to play him on his storm out of here. Go, let's go. Where's the band? So worship him, Lord.
Yep.
And this is great. This is great. This even gets better. You thought it was great by now. Oh no, you haven't seen anything yet.
Platform. Yeah, y'all want to get up here with a bunch of nonsense. Come up here, band. Let's worship the Lord. We're
A
gonna.
bunch of nonsense.
Yeah, his stuff is not. My stuff is good. His stuff though, that's nonsense.
Right.
It's
So-
just
so
such.
they're-
It's such a flex. My arguments are so
Right.
impenetrable. I had to turn off my opponent's mic and kick him out of the building. I win. Fucking
Get out of here with
crazy.
this nonsense.
Worship the
Wow.
Lord. We're gonna actually do something spiritual in this room tonight instead of talk about flat earth nonsense. And by the way, if you go to this church and you're upset about me taking the Bible in its context and dealing with it, and you're gonna keep sowing that discord, don't ever come back. That's all I'm gonna tell you right now.
Okay, so I'm not sure. Nashville Predators sounds really bad. I just want to point that out. That
So
sounds really terrible.
we had a thing. As you know, I'm a spectrum person myself. Even though I put on a good approximation of human, it's not perfect. So
Okay.
I was coming up with prizes for the Comic-Con that we run in Watertown, and we had a like a cosplayer who had like the alien from the Predator movies, and he was going to award one of the prizes. So we had like for the kids cosplay contest, we had like most colorful, most cuddly, most creative, best prop, etc. And the last one was the Predator's Choice Award. I didn't see a problem with it until we made it all the way to the day of the show. And I hand the prizes to the judges to distribute. And they're going through, okay, this looks good. Okay, this looks good. This one's a problem. Predator's Choice Award.
That's not right.
No,
That's not right.
they're like, we can't do this one.
No.
Not for children. Woo!
And that
I had
was
no
the last
idea.
time that awards show was ever seen. So congratulations if you've made it to the final awards show.
That's all I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm not listening. It's a last day's deception. I do not care if this is a
Look at this
UFC
people
SmackDown
go.
to the mat. I would
Look at
highly
go.
suggest that people keep their mouth shut, get in their car, and go where they need to be. We'll see you at 10:30 in the morning. We're gonna have a packed house, and we're gonna preach what.
Look, she's the most talented one on stage, or has been on stage all night. I just say, and look at this security guard. Like he's
Yeah,
like
I was gonna
dressed
say,
for
look at
friggin'
the
Vietnam.
yeah, the fucking military cosplay over here.
Right. I do got to say though that girl is the most talented person that took the stage during this entire event. I just want to make that clear. Like, she has the most talent out of anybody.
And we're gonna preach what the
There you
Bible
go.
says. If you believe the Bible, Global Vision, shout amen.
Oh, another important point. For some reason, no idea why, but the background happens to be the trans colors.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I didn't even
Yeah.
notice that. Awesome. Greg Locke
Yeah.
supporting trans. Never
Yeah,
thought I'd see it.
we're being all progressive up in here.
Yeah.
John had a fun idea. Hey.
There you go.
Yeah. What if we had James Tour up there with them? I mean,
Ooh.
you know, Greg had a lot of Bible. Dean had more
So much
Bible. How much
So
Bible?
much Bible.
How much Bible do you think Dr. Tour would have?
Zero. A fair bit of Bible. Absolutely. Yeah. So this girl, like, I've got to show this. Like this girl just she takes the audience to places they've never been before. Yeah, you go, girl. You go. You do your thing. She's done.
And yep, that's all.
And that's all. Have you got any more left?
I mean, twirling shit is hard work.
It is hard work, yeah. Got some more twirls left in you? Oh, there we go.
Yay! She's like a butterfly.
All right.
Well, I
don't know
learned
how
a
to
lot.
feel after that. I don't know how to feel after that. I honestly think that the flat earther, sort of in a technical way, he won the debate, like, because Greg Locke is freaking awful and cannot actually debate. Like, people may think debate's easy. It's not. It's not really easy to do like a structured argumentation to support your position. It's kind of harder than you would think. But at the same time, that's not even trying. That's preaching. And that's different than a debate. Like, you're not trying to convince people. You're trying to appeal to their emotions and how they feel. And that's why you end up with such a charged atmosphere, because both of them were doing it. You know, one guy's appealing to their charged emotions on this, and the other guy's appealing to their like, you know, of course it ends up in that sort of emotional state.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that too. We could, you know, go on the debate show of your choice, and we could be like, I understand where you're coming from with your, you know, geocentric young Earth, whatever. But look at the glory of the cosmos. It's so full of richness and beauty and wonder and infinite possibility. That's all true, but like, it doesn't prove anything's real.
And when I went to school, we were told about the glorious heliocentric model. And you know what? That's when I felt alive. That's when I felt alive. Can I get an amen? You know, that's the kind of stuff that, you know, you're not doing debate at that point. You're preaching. And we always know the preachers in the debate circuit, right? We always know them, because when they get stuck, when they get pushed into a corner, that's exactly what they fall back on. It's where they're comfortable. And obviously that's where Greg Locke's comfortable, in that, you know, sort of preaching mentality. But he's got a problem.
Oh, he's got a few.
Well, I mean, with the flat earthers in his congregation, because preaching, I don't think that's going to change their mind. And he's just sort of shut down their I mean, probably the whole lot will go over to this other guy, or, you know, somebody like him, which is shocking. Yeah. Got any other thoughts? Actually, I better start my banner while I think of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I want to thank all of the channel members, everybody that allows this to happen. And this was mad. This was absolutely mad. And, you know, I really didn't want to show just the preaching, because it's so boring and it just doesn't go anywhere. I wanted to really show that one guy basically did the flat earth spiel. Like, he really, you know, did the flat earth, you know, like he really did that. And the other one was so bad he couldn't even put an argument together to save his life.
Sunrise, though.
It means sunrise. Believe the Bible. No problem, me. You're very welcome. It was glad to have you around. I'm not sure. I think I've seen you before, but welcome. And it's yeah, and I will check out that video, because I was not familiar with Greg Locke. I am now, and I want to get more familiar, because, like, he sucks. He just sucks. If he was a friend of mine and an atheist, or just a debater in general and friends with mine, I would be saying, hey, that debate performance needs serious work. You need to have a presentation. You need to have a series of arguments leading to a conclusion. You can't just go out there and wing it on your feelings and passages from your book. You can't.
Yeah, it's ishy. But yeah, Greg is I mean, maybe Dean has more horrors in his closet too, but he's like one of the central figures in that whole evangelical cult. Like, he's connected to Kenneth Copeland. Keeps appearing on his TV network, Flashpoint. He's good buddies with Pastor Vlad and
Oh yeah, okay.
Gabe Perot. Hangs out with Isaiah Saldivar, like calls him a general in the faith. Like all of these sons of bitches are all connected. They're all
Right.
horrible. They're all full of shit. They're all very harmful. I mean, that's what Copeland wanted, is he wanted to create the next wave to cause a new revival, but under his twisted version of theology.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they've taken it and run with it. It's a little bit out of Copeland's control these days, but they're all still loosely connected.
It's like a evangelical douchebag club. It's incredible.
Kind of.
Yeah, yeah. And anyway, that was, it's just a short selection of sort of instances from the debate and what I thought of it and what Ember thought of it. And it kind of was hilarious. I mean, this is why atheists sort of go, well, we're not really worried by the evangelical debaters. This is why we're not kind of worried that much, because wow, do they suck. Boy, do they suck.
Yeah. Extreme. I mean, honestly, there's not much to learn from this kind of debate. It's mostly an exercise in hilarity and look at the idiots. But it does have some value in that it demonstrates what humanists and skeptics have been saying literally for decades. Religion poisons your mind. It makes you think like that. That
lack of critical thinking. And it's okay. Like I know that, there's theists out there who can at least think critically for the most part, but it's that willingness to believe this simple arguments and appeals to emotion and all this kind of, sort of fallacies, logical fallacies and things that are antithetical to critical thinking. You will go down these roads of superstition, the black cats and the, Satan is, if I have a bad thought, it's Satan in my head. It's a wrong place to go down. We need to be better at thinking critically. So, yeah, it's kind of, tragic that this was the best they could muster against Flat Earth. But when you can't think critically, this is what you get. This is what you get. But as always, thank you for joining me, Amber. It was an absolute pleasure. I had a blast. So thank you so much. I think you've already put up the next sort of debate review on your channel. So next week will be... Yeah, I did see that. I'm not familiar with that particular debate. But I really look forward to it. As I said, you are so much more prepared than I am. And don't forget to check out Ember, because you can be better than God. And better than religion. And better than Ember.
It's true.
Apparently so, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I keep trying.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you too, everybody. And don't, as always, don't forget, be kind to yourself. And be kind to each other. Don't throw microphones at one another. That's not the way to have a debate. That's not debating. That's fighting. So yeah, don't do that. But I really get why Greg Locke didn't want this up on his channel.
It was not a good look.
It really wasn't. Maya, lovely to see you. I will hit you up on Discord. Thank you so much for dropping in. Have fun. Good night, and all the best to everybody. Peace.
Doodles.